The birds be chirping. They sound pretty happy today. I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Voice is feeling better today, but not completely. Gonna have to talk today. So let's warm up the voice a little bit this morning, shall we? Oof. Whoa, Nelly. Tell Angelina Jolie I'm ready with petroleum jelly to smear it all over me belly. Tell her she can hit me on me mobile, me Sally, and meet me in the salami aisle of the grocery deli. That's such a good freestyle. You guys heard that Eminem freestyle? Whoa, Nelly. Tell Angelina Jolie I'm ready with petroleum jelly to smear it all over me belly. Tell her she can hit me on me mobile, me Sally, and meet me in the salami aisle of the grocery deli. Then maybe we can get us an appropriate telly, a Motel 6 or 8. I bet they both could be helly. It's such a good freestyle. Hello, it's freaking hot here on the East Coast. How hot? Like, what temperature is it going to be today? I want to know what you fools are bitching about back there on the East Coast. Well, like 85, 90. How's your vibe this morning? It's okay, you know. It's been worse. It's been better. I'm all right. Getting myself awakened. High 90s with humidity. Yeah, that's pretty rough then. You guys can bitch about that. That's rough enough. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like 88. You guys are whining over there. Is Paul a weather warrior? What's that? What are your thoughts on the furry community? I don't know, man. I get the feeling when it comes to furries that most of them are just people that like have an interest in the community or whatever. They like to dress up. They like to go to the cons. Maybe they like to do this, that, or the other thing. I get the feeling that that's probably true, but the front foot that furries lead with is like kink. It's like the yiffers and the owned people that are amongst furries and stuff that like have to drag their sex fetish for dog dick or cat dick or whatever it is they're into everything they do. And I think they really are like responsible probably for people's misconceptions and dislike of the furry community. I think they're probably like a vocal minority, but the problem is like the furry community has really done nothing to combat the people that are trying to turn it into like a kinkster thing. So the weather is crazier where I live, so don't talk about your weather warrior. Oh. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe I was being a little weather warrior then, but I just wanted to make sure that the East Coast wasn't bitching and moaning about like 85 degrees today, okay? So that's how I feel about like furries in general. I'm not at all really interested in the subculture, other than to like, maybe make fun of it a little bit, but that's what people do for subcultures. But yeah, I feel like if the furry community really cares to like have a reputation that isn't just about how goofy and weird sexually they are. They should probably handle the people in their community that are like fronting kink, especially in their like public kind of like furry cons and stuff. Like they need to like make a statement like, look, it's okay for you to be a furry that likes kink as well, but that's not what our community is about. And we don't want you running around with a dildo in your ass at our cons. We talk about gender spectrum stuff. I don't fully understand it. We can, yeah. What don't you fully understand? I mean, I'm not a gender spectrum expert, but I have taken human psychology and childhood psychology, developmental psychology, sexual psychology. The largest furry convention in the U.S. is in Pittsburgh every year. It's some degenerate shit. I believe you. Trust me, I believe. I know. It's because of them I wouldn't be caught dead at a fur con. Yeah, I might go just to like, admire the like cool costumes and the subculture and stuff, but I don't want to be like I'm very, very like I'm becoming very, very like maybe you might even call it prudish. A lot of people will probably label me prudish as time goes on and I handle this. But I really feel like I'm not a prude. I really feel like your sexual life is between you and whatever consenting adults you want to like involve in that. Um, but the fact that people got to wear that shit on their fucking sleeves, to the point of wearing like fetish gear in public and accessorizing with things that are fetish gear and shit, it's starting to make me feel like there's a segment of like sexually driven people who are kind of like satisfying their kink in public with me as an unwilling participant. I'm starting to feel like people are trying to normalize sex fetish stuff in public. So it's like I live a kink lifestyle that doesn't stop. I live a 24/7 kink lifestyle where my owner leads me around by a fucking collar. And I get hooked up to that collar and led around on a leash with a butt plug in my ass with a tail on the end of it. And I'm going to bring that energy and as much of that sexuality into public as I can. I know I can't get away with running around fucking myself with a butt plug, but you know what? I'm going to push the boundaries because I've got to put my sexuality on the front foot. I've got to put my sexual kink on the front foot. It is the defining thing about my personality that I like to rub my nipples real hard when I have sex, and so I'm going to do it in public. Sex pests, that's a really good word for it. Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like that sexual liberation, like the idea that whatever you want to do with a consenting adult in your bedroom is your business and nobody cares and you have the right to do it. I really feel like that some people have taken that idea, which is just about what you can do in privacy without judgment, right? And they've run that idea out into the streets with kink collars and bondage harnesses and nipple clamps and cock cages and butt plugs and people are doing like fucking like controlling each other's vibrators in public, and they get off on the fact that all the people that are walking around with their kids and their moms at the movie theater don't know that somebody's about to have an orgasm, and they film that shit. It's just like that type of shit is fucking going on and on and on and on, and like in the online space it's harshly magnified. It's like in the online space, if like it's relatively rare but becoming more common for people to lead with their front kink foot in public, in the online space it's fucking rampant. I mean, it's fucking rampant here. There are people out there that think that it's totally cool to involve you in their kinkster shit just because you happen to be in public with them. And it's clear they're getting off on it. It's clear it's an aspect of like exhibitionist sex play. And I think I'm done with it, bro. I'm done with it. I used to try and like, I used to be like of this brain where I was like, you know what, dude, people are just trying to express themselves and be comfortable in their own bodies and stuff. And like, yeah, it fucking weirds me out that everybody has to lead with like what they want to do with their genitalia. But, you know, maybe that's just an aspect of sexual liberation. Now I'm starting to feel like I've been way too permissive, especially in my own life. Like in my own bubble, I feel like I've been way too permissive over the last fucking 10 years of people's kink. What about kink at Pride? Kink at Pride is not a fucking issue, dude. Pride is a protest. Pride is about out of the closets, into the streets. No more dingy bars, no more back rooms, no more having to pretend we aren't what we are, right? That's what it's about. So yeah, throw on your pup hood and your bondage harness and your butt plug for Pride. I don't care. You want to protest with it? That's fine. But you can't live your life as a protest. Right? And if you do, you can't involve other people in your sex kink as part of a protest constantly in public. You just can't do it. Not around me, anyway. I'm fucking done with it, bro. It actually makes me fucking feel sick a little bit in my stomach that for years I've probably been like an unwitting participant in like a bunch of sex pests, like exhibitionism kink scene. Right. Pride, well, I don't even care if it's like minded people. Pride is a protest. People forget this. It's not a parade, it's not a fun street fair. Pride is a protest against LGBTQ people being forced to pretend that they're straight in public, not being able to talk about being gay, not being able to visibly be gay in public. And Pride is a protest against that societal pressure. It's not even that. And I'm not even saying like, oh, you can't wear what you want in public. Like, people are going to call me a fucking prude for that. I guarantee you. It's not necessarily about what you're wearing. It's about, are you involving the general public in your kinkster behavior? Now, if you're doing that privately, and I mean completely privately, just by observing people or fantasizing about people, right? I have no problem with that. But the fact that your expression of your need to bust a nut comes waggling out in public, and people are thinking that's more and more okay as time goes on, it doesn't work. I don't personally think anyone is forced to be someone they aren't. They may harbor personal feelings of doubt or otherwise that makes them feel that way, but nobody's forcing anyone. Right? Nobody's forcing anyone to dress a certain way. But if I go out in public and you and a kinkster are doing humiliation play or pup play or doing obvious orgasm play or something, and it's like happening in public, and you're obviously involving the public in that kink. Part of, I assume, the pup or the owned person kink is like the humiliation and degradation of being treated like an animal in public, right? I get you real rock hard. And so you put on a leash and you let your master carry a collar in their hand and you go to fucking Walmart for it because you want people, when they see you, not necessarily to know exactly what's going on, but to know that you've got a boner, to know that you guys are in some sex shit, to know that later after you get done at fucking Walmart, that master's probably gonna yank that chain and butt fuck you with it. And that's what's going on. People are getting off on other people knowing, but not being able to prove that they're involved in fucking like a kink scene in public. And I think it's rampant. I think people are I think people want their cake and eat it too. So I've heard in the last couple of weeks, people tell me that absolutely obvious bondage gear, kink gear, okay? Shit like shock collars and a human being wearing it and being shocked by it. publicly, right, are not kink gear. It's just fun. It's like gaslighting. It's kink gear as soon as they're in a fucking kink scene. It's kink gear as soon as they're involved with somebody who's getting their rocks off on helping them with their kink gear. But if they're just wearing it in public, it's not kink gear. If I'm just shocking myself in public and giggling about it and moaning about it, it's not kink. If I'm just wearing a dog collar that my owner hooks up to a leash all around every day, it's not kink. It's just a choice. It's not kink. It's not sexual to wear my leather daddy harness in public. It's just comfortable. I mean, come on. Like, how deep does the gaslight go? And how long are we going to allow people who are clearly engaging in public sex acts with you as an unwilling and unwitting participant to pretend that, like, walking around in a fucking fetish harness or leather chaps with no ass in them or a cock cage in public isn't kink? All right. Exactly. I don't care what you do. I'm in the same boat, bro. As long as it's a consenting adult in the bedroom with you doing whatever it is, you guys can eat each other for all I care. Literally. Cut each other's fingers off and eat them for all I care. If that's what gets you off, just don't involve me. I don't consent. I don't consent to being part of your scene. Palestine or Israel, neither. I'm a one-state solution guy. I believe these people have shown that due to their religious bigotry and hatred, they cannot live as separate states so closely. And so it is incumbent on the international community to create a UN peacekeeping force, to create an interim government and a new coalition government there with both Palestinian Jew in mind, a new functional constitution that protects the rights of everyone that lives in the new state, and a UN policing and peacekeeping force on the streets to enforce an end to sectarian violence. And once that coalition government is in place and empowered, and once the people have learned that sectarian violence is no longer going to be tolerated in their country, then the UN can hand over the keys and the UN can leave the new state, and we can go on in our business in the world without having to give Israel $6 billion every 2 weeks for bombs. How about that? Are you talking about this in the context of just everyday life, or do you make exception for pride? We just talked about pride. Pride is not a demonstration; it's a protest. I don't have any say whatsoever on how somebody fucking decides to engage in the pride protest. But you going to Walmart to buy a can of dog food and a box of rice-a-roni, right, is not pride. It's not the Pride Festival. That's a place I've got to go to get my can of soup. And I don't think I should be an unwilling, unwitting, and non-consensual participant in your sex kink. No, no. Nobody should be allowed to walk their partner around like a dog in public. That's it's a BDSM kink that has layers of exhibitionism and humiliation kink in it. So nobody, not high school kids, not nobody, should be able to bring their sexual jerk-off session into public openly. Sounds like anecdotal hysteria. Okay. Well, I tell you what, dude, the next time you see somebody getting led around on a collar in Walmart, or see somebody in bondage gear or doing a sex scene in Walmart, right? You get to know that they got off on your reaction or non-reaction to it, and that's cool, right? You're fine with that. Hey, I helped 5 people come when I went to fucking Walmart today. I helped 5 open kinksters fucking bust a big fat nut, even though I just wanted to go get a can of soup at Walmart today. That's up to you, bro. 100% up to you. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm telling you how I feel about it. I'm telling you, leading with your dick, leading with your genitals has become a fucking epidemic. And there's gaslighting going on about what is and isn't kink. Whatever happened to pointing laughing at these people? The problem with that is that that's part of their humiliation fetish in a lot of ways. A lot of times the reason that they're dressing in kink gear in public is to get derision. That gets them hard. Being humiliated in public like a little dog on a leash is the kink. So you going like, what a fucking freak. Hey, you shouldn't be doing that. They go like, oh yeah, we shouldn't. You have a job, bro? Yeah, I own a business. I'm a self-employed business owner. Is there a specific instance of that happened to you recently? Yeah, a bunch of it. A bunch of it in Discord. Hanging out in a public Discord, people doing a kink scene. It's happened multiple times to me in the last fucking 6 months. Where I realize about halfway through a fucking Discord conversation about Biden or about movies or whatever with 15 people in there, that a couple of the people are jerking off together. And they're doing it in a public way. They can't go private with it. They're doing it in a public way. Or you're in the middle of a conversation about Biden, about inflation, about Israel, about whatever, right? About fucking croissants. And somebody comes in and they're like, oh yeah, daddy milkers, oh yeah. Woof, oh yeah. You know, it's just like all my sex fetish is leading. You know, right in the middle of your fucking conversation, here comes my sex. Oh, daddy, oh, mommy, oh, puppy, oh, woof, woof, woof. Just like, fuck, bro. And I just been like chilling back on that going, that's weird, but I'm not going to judge. With the realization in my head that I've been involved in a fucking sex play that I didn't even know was going on until I realized it. And so you tell me it's not an issue. I'm telling you it's fucking rampant in that space. Is Discord a public space? Yeah, if you got a publicly open Discord, it's public enough to where like you should have to ask consent. Hey guys, so-and-so and I want to get off together. And we want to jerk off together right now in the room with our mics open with you. Is that cool? We want to use you guys as like part of our kink. Our humiliation fetish and our public sex fetish needs to be fucking, we need to get our nuts off. So is that cool with you? That's it. Period. And most people, if not all people in that room, are going to say no. I wonder why they don't ask, though. I wonder why they don't ask, and then when you call them on it, they gaslight you by telling an obvious sexual kink wasn't sexual that day. Right? They never ask permission. Hey, can I get my nuts off in public here and use you guys as a fucking sounding board for my orgasm? They never say that. And when you call them on it, it's always just innocent misunderstanding. Oh, yes, I am wearing a fetish bondage BDSM gear, and I was using it on myself in front of everybody, but it wasn't sexual. Yeah, I was moaning and giggling and having a sex party with somebody in public, but it wasn't sexual this time. You're just misunderstanding. The gaslight is real. And I think they believe it too. I think some of them are gaslighting so hard that they've gaslit themselves. Yeah, this isn't kink. It's not kink if I just get hard with somebody fucking with me in a public Discord call and I don't tell everybody that they're involved in my sex play. It's not kink. That's not kink. That's just private sex fun in public. It's like, no, there's no such a thing. There's no such thing as private public sex. It just isn't. That's a contradiction in terms. Do you think the community attracts these? No, I think that the internet attracts these types of people. I mean, maybe we attract these types of people more because, you know, TJ's a big fucking front-facing kinkster. But at the very least, TJ doesn't always fucking lead with his kink foot. You know, if TJ popped into a Discord, he's not going to be like, Mommy milkers and Daddy milkers, everybody, my balls are ready to be jiggled by me while I listen to you. I'm about to come. He's not going to do that, right? But yeah, his openness about his fetish interests and his sexual life and stuff like that probably do draw some people. But I'm saying, like, you being open appropriately about your sex life is not an invite for clouds of public kinksters to come and just jerk off on your content in front of everybody. Like, so, yeah, he's always showing giant butts. Okay, well, there's a difference, right? To me, there's a difference in, like, look at this. It's a big old ass. Let's talk about big old jiggly asses. If that's the topic, if the topic is your kink, right? If you come in and I'm talking about, I just don't understand this leather daddy pup hood thing that's going on, man. And you decide to talk about it and talk about your experience with it there, that's a different thing. If there's no other conversation going on in the room and you're like, hey guys, I want to talk about my cock cage. And everybody goes, sure, let's talk about your cock cage. That's fine. But you shouldn't have to tell people to stop fucking each other in public around you. You shouldn't have to tell people that you're not willing to participate in their kink, their public fetish kink. They're getting off on each other in public while you're there and an unwitting person. I don't think that's correct. I don't think if I did it to you, it would feel good. If you said, Paul, I need to talk to you. Can we go private real quick? Can we do a private call on Discord? And I go, yeah, right? And we get in private and you start talking to me and all of a sudden you hear me going like, and you're like, you okay, Paul? Oh yeah, go ahead. You were saying about how miserable you are? Yeah, I just don't know what to, oh, fuck yeah. You sure you're okay, Paul? Yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm good. Go ahead, I'm listening. So anyway, like, my boss was telling me this, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. Fuck it. Yeah, you were saying? Are you sure you're okay, Paul? Nobody would be okay with that. You wouldn't be okay with it. You wouldn't be okay with me deciding that I'm going to jerk off to you without you knowing, or use you as a sounding board for my jerk off. But for some reason, when you do it in a public Discord, it's all just an innocent misunderstanding. I was wearing my kink gear, my dog collar, my shock collar, and I wasn't participating in the chat other than to giggle and moan, but it wasn't what it looks like. It's like, dude, just tell me my lying eyes and ears, right? There's so many people out there that want to tell you that your eyes and ears lied to you. Like you ain't been around 44 years old, 44 years. Like you don't understand what somebody moaning and kinking off and jerking off sounds like. Oh, it's a misunderstanding. Oh, it's a fucking misinterpretation. Yeah, I was wearing bondage fucking kink sex gear in public and using it in public, but it wasn't sex. It's like, but my collar. It's like, yeah, I think we would be pretty baffled that this is the where the internet has reached. But it's like one of those things. And I get major pushback from the people who are guilty of this shit when I bring it up. They get major butthurt. Senna was all over the Discord yesterday, whine posting, recontextualizing a 2-hour conversation where I tried to give her advice and she did nothing but excuse her fucking inaction. And also whining about the fact that her fucking collar is clearly fetish gear. The fact that she can't take it off is clearly part of some fetish arrangement she has with somebody, right? But arguments and arguments and arguments and gaslighting and your lying eyes and your lying ears didn't see what you thought, didn't hear what you thought. And I just told her, I said, one more of these. If I hear anything like this out of you again, I'm banning your fucking ass forever. And it has stopped so far. But it's just like, you know, constant. And these people don't get it. They think I'm being some kind of fuddy-duddy because I don't want to help them come. Because I'm not interested in helping them come. Okay? They think my lying eyes and ears don't know what sex play sounds like and don't know what fetish gear is, like I've never been involved in it. Like I was in a long-term fetish fucking relationship. We lived like a lifestyle fetish. Okay? I understand fetish. I understand exhibitionism. And I understand consent. And you getting a big old boner playing around with your fucking dog shock collar in a room full of 15 people who are having a conversation and making sure you keep your mic open so we can hear you moan and giggle about it with your friend is sex. Period. And I didn't consent to your sex or to be an object of your sex or to be an active or unwilling participant in your sex. And if you're going to gaslight me with your lying eyes, your lying ears, oh, Paul, it just looked exactly like sex, but it really wasn't. I was just playing around with a toy. I just like shock collars, man. I just have a fucking genuine human nerdy interest in shock collars and wearing one in public and shocking myself with it, bro. Nothing sexual about it. They want to tell you your lying eyes, your lying ears, and your lying reasoning center isn't perceiving what it perceived. And it's paragraphs worth of this shit. And I'm just like, I'm not even responding. I'll respond to you publicly. How's that? Because these private conversations are going nowhere. So I'm going to keep the fuck away from you. And I'm going to talk about you publicly. And I'm going to talk about your kink publicly. And I'm going to talk about your weird exhibitionism, unwilling participant sex fetish publicly and how it's spilling over into the internet, how it's ruining shit, and how it's making people like me and most other people wildly uncomfortable to be around you. Wildly uncomfortable. It's Discord, what do you expect? I don't buy that shit. Oh, it's online. What do you expect? People are going to act like sex pests. It's like, why? Why do I got to put up with it? I imagine people who do engage in those acts get off on how uncomfortable. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like there's a humiliation kink aspect to it where they feel like, oh, they're degrading me for doing this in public. Oh, fuck, I'm about to come. And then there's like a, yeah, it's like a participant thing. It's like they're getting off on you not liking them having sex in public. That's the hot thing. You're unwilling. And yet you saw them fucking anyway. You heard them fucking anyway. And they want to gaslight all day. Oh, that's not what it was. We were just I was just putting my penis in their ass. No homo, no sex. We just wanted to see what it felt like, bro. Get over yourself. It's like, this is a problem. And I think the worst part about it is even if you take like the kind of pseudo victimization of being involved in a sex scene that you had no fucking intention in ever doing, you set that aside. Like, you know, I think it's just fucking antisocial behavior. You set aside the victimization aspect of it, you're looking at just like rank antisocial fucking behavior. Looking at a behavior where, you know, you go into a public space and it's like, you know, you're not going to participate at the same level as everybody else. You're going to utilize it to come. It's like, fuck you then. weirdo. And then when somebody calls you on it, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. I didn't, like, I don't even know what the excuse would be. You can't say I didn't know because that's why you were doing it there and not in private, right? I won't do that again. You're right. That's exploitative. I should have asked. Instead of that, I get fucking 8 paragraphs of cope telling me my lying eyes didn't see what I saw. My lying ears didn't hear what I heard. My lying fucking knowledge about sex kink and fucking BDSM fetish is just wrong this time. It's all a big misunderstanding this time. It's like, no, it isn't. I know exactly what it is. I've really been thinking a lot about the whole prudishness on the other end of the equation with age differences. My partner's 21 and I'm 26. My own dad called me R. Kelly. Bro, think about me. I'm 44. My wife is 26. Think about the type of fucking nasty shit I've heard. People judging my fucking relationship with an adult. Calling me a fucking like groomer and a pseudo pedophile because I'm with somebody in their 20s. Just like at the same time this sex kink has become fucking out of control and everybody's leading with it, there's also this like infantilization thing that's happening where it's like somebody that's 20 is not a fucking adult now. Somebody that's fucking 20 years old is not an adult. And if somebody that's 40 fucks somebody that's 20, they're a groomer and a pedo. It's like, my wife's a whole ass adult. I didn't fucking groom her. She came to me. I asked her to marry me. She said yes. I don't, you know? I'm just like, so there's like simultaneously this weird sexual kink going on in public. But the wider public is more keen to judge me because I'm with somebody that's younger than me. Yeah, if the script was flipped, if I was 26 dating a 44-year-old woman, nobody would say anything about her being a groomer. They might make fun of me being with a MILF or something, but like, it would all be good-natured. There'd be no like accusation of sex pestery or something. But it's just when an older guy dates a younger woman that everybody wants to start crying sex pest at the top of their lungs. And it's like that person there. Somebody just called me a fucking creep. I'm a creep because I married a woman that's fucking in her 20s. I'm a creep. This is what people are worried about sexually. Me dating a consenting adult or marrying a consenting adult. They're not worried about the public kink shit. They're not worried about the fucking everybody leading with their sex. The fucking obvious public humiliation fetish kink that's going on that involves the public, including children. And your fucking bullshit. Right? Everybody's not like that. I'm a boomer for caring about that. But I'm a sex pest and a pederast for marrying somebody in their 20s. Give me a fucking break, bro. Unreal. Oh yeah. Your girlfriend is 12 years older than you, but if the script was flipped, you'd be the cradle robber. Yep, the crib snatcher. Ooh, watch out for that guy. He might like kids. It's like, what? $44 with a 26-year-old is baller big money status. DBH probably jealous, my big dog. Maybe. Like, I'm not a baller. I don't make big money. I make decent money, but I don't make like enough money that like some hot chick is gonna pretend to be in love with me to take advantage of it or some shit. Like, not a fucking chance, bro. Like, I think people think I make way more money than I do. Like, I'm okay, I'm well off, but I am not wealthy. Crazy shit is my father's father was 25 and my grandma was 20. It's like, damn, have some fucking perspective. Dude, my mom, so check this out. Here's a little lack of perspective for you. When I got divorced and started posting pictures of me and my new girlfriend, a lady named Ashley from Texas that I dated for a number of years. She was younger than me. She was 22 when we got together, and I was 35. My dad, right, got on the phone and said, "That girl looks like she's 16. You're embarrassing your family. Come back and fix your marriage. Quit being a scumfuck," right? He sends me that text. My dad married my mother when he was 18 and in the army, and she was 16. Okay? This is the perspective. My dad married my mom. She dropped out sophomore year of high school to marry him. They got parental permission, and my dad married my mother when she was 16 years old. He was already in the army at the time they got married. But his perspective on me dating a completely legal adult over the age of 20, the age of 35, was, "You're a loser, you're a weirdo, that girl looks like she's 10, fuck you." You know, like, it's like, what? You know? People are just so fucked up. Like, people are just so fucked up. It's wild that you catch shit for that. Dude, I catch shit for it all the time, even now. I'm not with that same person anymore. I'm with somebody that was older when I got together with her than my last girlfriend was. I'm married, and I still have to hear people's feedback on the age gap between me and my wife, as if she doesn't have agency and I somehow subverted it or something. I really don't know. Don't share your personal life to people with no life. I mean, that's probably pretty good advice, unless you work my job. Like, I don't make money on this channel, but I do this for a living. I've done podcasting exclusively. That's how I make every penny I've made for the last 10 years, as being a fucking online content creator, podcaster. And part of my job is talking about my life all fucking day and telling anecdotes from my life all day. So, nope. Did your neighbors give you any grief when they thought she was your daughter? No. I could tell they were embarrassed at the misconception. I don't mind that. She is visibly younger than I am. I'm an old fucking gray-haired dude with a big beard. She's beautiful, fresh-faced, and young. I'd understand somebody looking at her and thinking, like, I technically could be her father. She was born the year I graduated high school. There are 18 years between the two of us. Right? So the visual misconception, that comes with the territory. Right? Them thinking, "Oh, that must be his daughter." That comes with the territory. And when I corrected it, they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." No, it's okay. We have an age gap. We're a little different age, you know. And they were cool about it. They didn't judge, at least not publicly. Maybe they went in their house and judged the fuck out of me. I don't know, but that's not up to me to worry about, right? I think the age gap thing is more about older guys dating younger women, like the one actor who gets a new girl. Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. There are plenty of young guys dating old women. Or older women. There are plenty of young dudes. They're probably like millions and millions of relationships in the United States right now that are just the inverse of mine. A 26-year-old guy married to a 44-year-old woman. That arrangement is super common, but nobody ever worries over it. Nobody ever calls that woman a groomer. Nobody ever calls that woman a fucking secret pedophile because she's dating somebody 18 years younger than her. You know, it's always the other way around. You know, it's the same way, I hate to bring it up, but like with SA of children, right? If a male teacher fondles and molests a female student, they're a fucking sick freak. And the little girl, oh my God, I hope she recovers from that. If a female teacher molests a male student, oh, it's probably what he wanted anyway. Oh, that's every little boy's dream. Oh, he'll get over it. I mean, I got over it, right? There's just such a fucking, like, when it comes to agency and people's rights, there's such a fucking disconnect just on gender and sex. Some people feel like it's an overcorrection as more people become aware of groomers. It's good that people know, but all situations are different at the end of the day. Yeah, it's like, in my mind, like, all right, maybe you guys can correct me, right? Grooming is like taking somebody that's mentally compromised, whether it's by age or inexperience or, mental illness, right? So it's not necessarily just age, but grooming is taking somebody who's mentally compromised and imposing your will on them via psychological manipulation, right? That's grooming. It's like taking a kid and training that kid to be okay with you being sexual with them. Taking a person that is not old enough to know what they're doing and exploiting the ever-loving fuck out of their lives because they don't know any better. Taking somebody with a mental illness or deficiency and exploiting that person because they can't ever intellectually compete with you. My wife's fucking way smarter than me. Way smarter. So how am I grooming her? You know? I didn't abduct her from her life. I didn't, like a bug in her ear, whispered lies to her until she fucking, like, couldn't distinguish me from a fucking god. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't, like, work on her fucking inhibitions to get her to do a bunch of shit she doesn't want to do. I don't violate her consent. I don't violate her agency. And I don't violate her personhood, ever. She dresses and conducts herself and does with her time exactly what she wants. So, how am I grooming a grown-ass woman? You see? Who's grooming who? Yeah. Damn, girl, you looking pretty good. Who's grooming who? Damn, girl. Damn, girl, I don't think I should. Who's grooming who? It's a good hook. Paul, your face, voice, and opinions manipulating her into loving you. I know. Yeah, I'm just so smart and manipulative, and she was so dumb and young that she just was just wrapped around my finger immediately. I've just been using her like a little puppet for the whole time we've been together, you know? 5 years now, she's been my little puppet. It's like, what? Okie dokie. Okie dokie, weirdos. Yeah, dude, I'm so good at grooming. I groom people of sound mind and body that are fucking full-grown, grown-ass adults. Not mentally compromised. Not compromised by a power dynamic. That's another grooming thing, right? Use a fucking power dynamic to impose your sexual will. So like a boss telling his fucking secretary, hey, there are other ways you could save your job. That sort of thing. That's grooming. I'm not her boss. I'm her husband. I don't impose my will on what she wants to do in her life. I help facilitate it. I'm her husband. Depends on the context. Cults can groom adults. Yeah, exactly. Cults seek out adults typically that are mentally compromised and groom them, right? Just like I said in my definition of grooming earlier, it's taking someone who is mentally compromised due to a circumstance, whether that circumstance is age, experience, mental health, intellectual disability, physical disability, right? Grooming is taking somebody like that and imposing your will on them, using the power that you have over them to impose your will on them. That's grooming. It can happen between an adult and a child. It can happen between an adult and adult, right? But the idea that I am a groomer because I married a woman who's 18 years my junior at a time when she was well into her 20s is fucking ludicrous. because it assumes that everything I just said happened, that I puppeteered my wife into my life, that I manipulated her into loving me, that I groomed her into marrying me when she really didn't want to, and that I'm manipulating her into staying with me when she doesn't have to. And that's absurd. It completely removes agency from my wife. It assumes that my wife is too stupid or too dumb or too cucked to ever take charge of her own life or do anything she wants. And it presumes I live the life of a fucking king dictator, telling her what to do, how to dress, what to be.
Grooming usually requires time too. Like we didn't like immediately jump head over heels, but like it was pretty quick between us first talking.
Well, grooming, I mean, it doesn't always have to be this way, but in a grooming situation, I kind of would expect that I would have reached out to you.
And that it would be a slow process.
Right. I would have started being like, we're just friends, but then keep making it go sexual and then bringing it back and telling you it was wrong, right? And grooming you that, like, we're not really together, but we can sexually access each other, right? Or whatever it is that I wanted from you. And that's not how it went. We were friends with Benny's for a while, but friends nonetheless. We chose to contact each other. We chose willingly as adults to enter in a relationship. You chose to come and move in with me and chose to marry me when I asked you. Amelia's agency was never violated. I never manipulated her into a decision. Like adults do, I told her how I felt about her. She told me how she felt about me, and we decided to get together, and it worked. And hallelujah, it's great. But there are people, when they hear that there's an age gap between me and her, it's like my neighbor, like I said, assuming she's my daughter, like I'm over here living with my adult daughter. Like, what daddy lives with his adult daughter? It's like such a weird thing to say to somebody. But I don't think they meant anything by it. It's like a natural thing to be sus of an older dude walking around with a young, pretty girl. But it's an arrangement as old as time. You wouldn't have a problem with it if I was the woman and she was the man. If I was a 44-year-old woman who married a 26-year-old man, you guys would be over the moon for it. You'd think it was dope. You'd say, oh yeah, fucking cougar, right? But because I'm the man and she's the woman, there has to be some fucking unhealthy dynamic between us. There has to be some manipulation that I'm doing to her. Some violation of her agency, some grooming, right? It's fucking absurd. Like I said before, and this is not like me overstating, my wife is smarter than I am. How am I grooming her? I love a Beauregard song. Somebody said, new Beauregard song, who's grooming who? Damn, girl, that ass is fat. Who's grooming who? I don't think I should do that. Who's grooming who? Girl, you look like you're trouble. Who's grooming who? God damn. It's ridiculous. Oftentimes people who would judge about the age gap would jump at the opportunity to date a younger, hotter partner. I do think some of it is centered in jealousy, which I find hilarious because, like, the only reason that I have a young, hot partner or whatever is because I'm a fucking person that has charisma. Like, that's it. I've spent my whole life talking to people, got a good sense of humor, I know how to listen. Like, that's what attracts people to people. And age doesn't necessarily matter in that. You know, adults are attracted to adults who have attractive personalities, right? And women are way different than men in their expectations too. Men are way more physically driven than men. Women, they are, I'm not saying they don't have physical type preferences and stuff, but women are way more centered on a person's personality than they are their sexual prowess or their fucking looks or whatever. Like, those things are usually, not always, but usually secondary to women, where they're primary to men, right? Now, I'm not necessarily the same type. I'm not saying all men, and I'm not saying all women. I don't prioritize sexual attractiveness over everything else. But I feel like, as a rule, males do prioritize it more than women. I have friends 20 years my senior. Age is nothing but a number. If you click, you click. I mean, yeah, I mean, age is nothing but a number amongst adults. Age is definitely more than a number between adults and children. Adults have way more responsibility in that type of an interaction than a child can ever have. But amongst adults, yeah, absolutely. Age is a number. Yeah, that's how you do it. It's all about personality. Sex is fun, but if we can't talk after, then it won't last. Well, I mean, that digs into just my proclivities, right? And like, a no judgment, but I'm not like a swinger type of guy. I've never once in my life had what I would call casual sex. I'm 44 and I've only been with 4 people sexually.
You were in relationships with all of them.
I was in long-term relationships with all of them. Except the first one. I wasn't in a long-term relationship at the time I had sex with that person, but that sexual encounter led to a long-term relationship. So it's my first sexual partner, my first long-term relationship as an adult. I was in a pseudo relationship in high school, but that don't count. Opinion on Andrew Tate? No. Paul, I think you need a hoe phase. All my friends did too. All my friends, like when I would get in a breakup, right? So my first girlfriend, she left me. I was devastated, and my friends were just like, you need a hoe phase. Come on, let's go to the club. Let's go to the bar. Let's fucking find you a chick, and let's get you laid. And I went along with it. Like, I would go with them, but I never got laid. I never, like, sealed the deal because I didn't really want it. I didn't want to go meet somebody anonymous at a bar and get drunk and do something that I wouldn't remember the next day. That's not hot to me. I ain't got no type. Bad bitches is the only thing that I like. You ain't got no life. Cups with the ice, and we do this every night. I don't check the print it how I like. I'm just living life. And let my mama tell it, neighbor, I ain't living right. Brown, brown, brown. I ain't got no type. Somebody did point out the last time I brought up that song that only liking bad bitches is a type. That's it. You only like bad bitches, that's a type, right? I don't know, at some point it's kind of creepy. You have a 60-year-old hitting on a 20 or 30-year-old. Like, man, you were out of high school before she was born, lol. I mean, you can be creeped out by that, but you can't say it's grooming. That 20-something has the agency to say, get away from me, old man. And if an old-ass woman comes over and says the same type of shit to me, ooh, young man, I'd like to get on that penis, I'm going to say, get out of here, you old slapper. Get your old droopy titties out of here, grandma. You know what I mean? I have agency, right? So... Yeah, keep your eyes peeled a little closer, Spectres. There's like some like transphobia happening. Like somebody just typed he, she up in this motherfucker and nobody caught it. Like, you guys need to fucking tighten it up a little bit today, because there's some fucking real scumbags in here today. There's like some open transphobia going on in here today. So just peel them eyes. 20-year-olds are idiots. No. No. Some 20-year-olds are idiots. Some fucking 80-year-olds are idiots. Like, you can't say that's because somebody's fucking 20, they're an idiot. I've met plenty of 20-year-olds that fucking lap me twice on intelligence. I was really stupid at 20. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I was pretty fucking dumb at 20. I don't think I, at 20, would have been ready to get in the type of relationship I'm in now. Used to work at a college bar. Guess my sample size isn't great. A bar, yeah. It's not even your sample size, it's your sample location that was the problem. Yeah, you don't see a lot of maturity amongst 20-year-olds who are drunk at a bar, yeah. But you don't see a lot of maturity from 40-year-olds who are drunk at a bar either. Maybe a little more than 20-year-olds. But yeah, drinking and maturity kind of, you know. No, that's just a way to not engage with people in their 20s. It's elitist. Exactly. And it's used as a bludgeon against 20-year-olds. Like, it'll be used as a good thing. Like, oh, you can't date somebody that's 25 because their brain isn't developed yet. You're a groomer. But then if you don't agree with that person, that bludgeon goes against them and not the quote unquote groomer, right? It goes, oh, you're just 20. Your brain's not developed yet. You're just 20. There's no way that you can fucking know what you're talking about. You're just 20, right? That's bullshit, bro. I will tell you what can't be made up for and what does have to be dealt with if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody that's younger or older than you. The experiential gap. That is real. You know, one of the things that you give up if you're a man that dates a woman that's younger or a woman that dates a man that's younger, right, is the cultural references are different, right? If I were dating, if Amelia were 44 and I made a reference about the Ninja Turtles, or if I said like, oh, look over there, it's April O'Neil, you know, because I saw a reporter doing a thing. If I did that to Amelia right now, she'd go, who? Right? The cultural references aren't there. The experiential gap is different. I've worked way longer than she has. I know things about like navigating the system and getting things done in the right way and what to expect from things in the system than she does. I've just experienced them over and over, right? And that's the truth. Anybody that tells you that that doesn't exist in their relationship, if there's a gap, right, is lying. That does exist. That is, and it goes the other way with her too, right? She'll make a reference sometimes. She'll be like, it's like that guy so and so, and I'll be like, who? And she's like, oh, you know, singer guy. It's this song, and I'm like, oh, I have heard that. You know, like that's the way it is. But those are not always negative things, or they're not negative at all inherently. It's just an experiential difference, right? But sometimes that experiential difference is hella positive. Like she will be listening to music some days when she's cooking in here. She'll have her phone just like blasting out some music, and I'll go, who is that? And she'll go, oh, it's like the latest one she got me into was not Slater. What is the name? But it's just like I made a playlist with a bunch of that type of music on it because I thought it was so fucking tight, right? And I never, like, if I was dating a 44-year-old woman, she probably never would have been listening to that shit. She probably would have been into shit like I'm into, like the 90s, the 80s, the fucking early 2000s, you know, a little bit of the new shit. And going the other direction, you know, Amelia hasn't had the amount of time to watch as many movies as I have. So I get to show her all these great movies that I know she's going to love, right? Because I know her personality now really well and I know her tastes. And I get to experience like watching those movies and talking with her, her first time seeing them. You know, that's so cool. So there are ups and downs to everything about a relationship. That's one of the things you'll learn, right? If you're going to be in a committed fucking relationship, doesn't matter if there's an age gap or not, right? There are going to be fucking trials and tribulations. There are going to be differences that you're going to have to learn to very elegantly collate. Slater, yeah. I mean, that's one of, it's like Slater. I'm trying to remember. Fuck. God damn, it's like right on the tip of my tongue. Not Charlie XCX. Not Slater. Not Alice Long Yu Gao. Fuck. It's like there's a bunch of these types, right? But I never would have listened to the music if I hadn't been for her. What is she listening to? I'm at work, but I wanted to drop by and say you and Scotty were on fire last night. Good shit, homie. Yeah, dude, it was a good show. Felt good. I'm glad it was good. It does, but there's time they can relate. They learn the time difference from other likes. Maybe, I don't know. I'm too old. I don't know who those people are. Yeah, see, you got no excuse, though, because I'm old as fuck and I know who all those people are. But, you know, once again, I try and keep my ear to the ground in music. I listen to my wife's music, and she listens to mine, and I get new things from her all the time. She gets new things from me all the time. Like, it's part of the fun. Like, yeah, so is it a downside that, you know, cultural references and jokes and stuff that I might make fall on deaf ears with her? Yeah, it kind of sucks, right? I mean, is it fucking relationship ruining? No, but it kind of sucks that she doesn't have that same frame of reference and I don't have her frame of reference. But we use that to our advantage in a number of different fucking ways and make it cool. Like, she likes listening to my old music and finding things that she really digs, and I like listening to her music and finding things that I really dig. She likes watching my old movies, and I like watching her fucking movies as well. Like, she'll show me movies. There's plenty of times where she showed me a movie she's seen and I haven't. So we like take advantage of it. I was in love with a trans girl who was 5 years younger than me. For a couple of years, I felt like having a slightly younger lover helped keep some of the grays away, so to speak. I don't know if I look at it that way, man. I think a lot of people misunderstand, like, age gaps in relationships. Like, I am not an average 44-year-old dude. I make maybe what an average 44-year-old dude makes. So I'm average in that way. I'm average that I have a good job and I make a decent living like a 44-year-old should. But I don't have the type of job, you know, I don't go work at a factory or an office. I don't have a 9 to 5. You know, I work a crazy job and I'm also a rolling stone. I will never ever be tied down to a place unless I love that place. You know, and so I move a lot. And like, so let's say that here I am, right? I break up with my girlfriend. I'm single. I'm 38. I'm pushing 40. If your prescription is, well, go find a woman that's like you. Go find a woman that's within 2 years of you, one way or the other, and date that woman and love that woman and marry that woman. Okay, what would that be? What do most women that are my age and single, what do they have? They have careers. A lot of them own houses. A lot of them have children by another marriage, right? All of these things are the antithesis of being able to just pick up and move, pick up and go, do your job from anywhere, digital nomad kind of life that I lead. And so it wouldn't work. Amelia, being younger, is more tuned into that kind of lifestyle. Young people love it. Young people love the digital nomad lifestyle. They love the idea of not being tied down, moving around, seeing new places, traveling more. Or in the very least, I won't put all young people in the same pot. She loves it as a young person. She loves it. She loves the fact that, yeah, it kind of sucks where we're at now, but we're not going to be here long. We're moving. And if it sucks there, we're moving again. You know, we're not tied to a place. I'm a business owner. I own my own business. I'm a performer, but I'm not tied to a venue. I'm not tied to a business location, right? What woman, generally in her 40s, is going to even be able to integrate her life with that or want to, right? Nobody ever has an answer like to that when they're talking. Like my mom, when I first started dating Amelia, had the talk with me like, son, I'm sure she's a lovely, lovely girl, but you need to find somebody your age. And I said, Mama, somebody my age doesn't want me. Trust me. They might want me when they look at me or hear me. I don't think that'd be the problem. But I think once they saw how I live and what I do for a living and get a fucking gut full of me being in the backyard yelling at my phone all day or being in a fucking room in the house screaming into a mic all day with their kids running around, they're not going to have that. They're not going to want that. And I'm going to be wasting my time falling in love with somebody who is that. Because I'm not willing to settle down in a place I don't like and raise some other man's children. And she's not willing to settle down or to uproot herself and be a digital nomad, crazy dream chaser with her husband. So why would I waste my time even looking, dude? You know? I think you make a great point, Paul. Thanks. So you never wanted kids? No, I did. I'm a divorcee, so I was married once before. I got married at 27. Got married in 2007 at the age of 27. And I'd been with my ex-wife up until the marriage, probably like 6 years by that point. So it was a long-term cohabitation relationship. We got married, and immediately upon getting married, we decided to start having children. And so, you know, we did what you do when you start to have children. It never happened, and it never happened, and it never happened. And she got more and more depressed about it because I think many women, when they're in that situation, they assume it's them. But what I discovered in looking into it and going through the journey I went through with her is that 9 times out of 10, if men and women are having sexual intercourse and a pregnancy is just not happening after a year or a year and a half, it is the man, right? It's the man's problem. The man has a low sperm count. The man is infertile, right? I didn't know that either. I assumed, like she did, that maybe she wasn't producing eggs, or maybe she wasn't producing viable eggs, or maybe her womb wasn't accepting the eggs, or maybe they were getting caught up in her fallopian tubes, or whatever the fuck, right? All that shit you think, like, why can't we have a kid? It was all focused on her, right? In my mind and her mind. And for me, I loved her no matter what. So it was like, you know, I can get over that. You know, yeah, it sucks. We have this plan to have kids. But if we can't, there are other options. You know, we could live as a married couple and not have kids and really pour all that love and attention into ourselves. We could adopt, right? This was my attitude. Her attitude was, I'm devastated because I can't make a child. And so we went to doctors, did the fertility doctor thing, and that we very quickly found out that she was completely healthy, completely viable, and completely capable of having a child, which led them to do a sperm analysis on me and a full physical examination of my gonads. And it was found that I have low motility sperm and low mobility sperm, and I have low sperm count. And upon going to 2 different fertility specialists for second opinion, I learned that it is most likely, not definitively, but most likely due to damage to my testicles when they were developing. So this would have been getting kicked in the nuts when I was a little boy, walking on the monkey bars on top of them like you weren't supposed to, and my foot slips in the dew and I fucking straddle a bar and bust my nuts, right? That happened to me like at least 24 times as a kid, and one of those times made me infertile, or maybe all those times. Maybe the aggregate of that damage happening made me infertile. So the sperm that I produce are largely non-viable sperm because the sperm factory is damaged. The epididymis part of my testicle is what I was told is damaged. And that means that sperms, when they come out, they are off. You know how a sperm is like a little tadpole with a tail, right? The tail on my tadpole, right? So here's a normal sperm swimming along, right? My tail is here, and the sperm goes like it swims in a circle. I got to watch my poor little soldiers. They showed me like a video that they took of the microscopic analysis of my sperm and showed me the non-viable sperm. And the poor little guys, man, they were fucking deformed. Their little tails were offset and they were swimming in circles because they couldn't move right. And I was like, aw, poor little guys. And so what I learned from talking to fertility specialists, because our immediate thought was in vitro, but talking to fertility specialists, we quickly found that I am a horrible candidate for in vitro. My testicles are damaged. They don't produce viable sperm, or at least not very many. And that means that even a viable looking sperm may be non-viable, right? And so they warned us that your in vitro fertilization process might take twice, 3 times, 4 times as long as the typical couple because your husband's sperm is non-viable. And we're going to have to work really hard and do multiple sperm collections on him to get a viable sperm, right? And so it basically, like, we hit a wall, right? And the wall was, we can never have children. I can never make a baby, right? I can never get a woman pregnant. No matter how hard I try or want it, it's going to cost us $80,000 to have a child because our in vitro is going to be long. So in vitro is already like 25, 30, 40K. We're going to pay double that or triple that with no guarantee that we ever have a child out of it. So we both realized it's just not going to happen. And that was, a huge blow to our relationship, I think, in retrospect. So yeah, there was a point in my life in my 20s where I felt like, hey, it's time for me to have a couple kids. And I think I would have been a pretty good dad. And I think my ex-wife would have been a pretty good mom. So I don't think I was wrong in my instincts. I think I waited until I was 27. I had a really stable job. I was making a good living, and so was my wife. Like, we were doing the right thing, We waited till we were married. We waited to get married and live together for a long time. We did the right thing by any theoretical children that may have come from that union. And that sucks, that never could happen. But I think I had a greater facility for moving past it than she did. To me, I was sad, devastated. And then what replaced that was, you know what, though? We can live our lives and take way more vacations and do all kinds of cool stuff and have things and do things together that other couples just can't because they're so wrapped up in kids. And that gave me hope for my future. And that's still the way that I feel now, right? At this point in my life, I don't want children anymore because the way I dealt with not being able to make my own children was to realize the blessing and the curse. Yeah, it sucks I'll never get to be a father. I probably would have been a good father, and maybe my kid would have been great. I'll never know. That sucks. But I never have to pay for a kid's college. I never have to pay for a kid's medical bills or dental bills. I never have to pay for school clothes. I don't have to pay for somebody else's life for 18 years. Or more if I have multiple kids, right? 25, 30 years of parenting, right? Well, number one, I don't think I'm young enough to do that now. But let's say I do live to my 70s. Why would I want to encumber my life with another life in it at this late stage of my life? And knowing what I know about how cool it is to live without responsibility for anybody but your partner. And there are upsides to every downside, right? It's like, you never get to have a child. Your bloodline ends. Your influence ends with you. You'll just be forgotten. And you might die alone as a result as well because you don't have that safety net of a broad family to take care of you in your old age. Ooh, all of that sucks. It really does. That's a tough thing to think about sometimes for me. But I also don't have, like, the financial burden. So maybe I can counteract that by saving up enough money that I make sure I'm taken care of. Well, today the bees are here. That makes me feel good. I think you guys can hear them. Hold up. You guys hear them? That's bees in my trees. That's cool. Being a father doesn't even have to be your own body. No, no, no. Like, that's the thing, is like a father figure is different than a father, though. I can be your father figure. Put your loving hand in mine. I can be your preacher, teacher, till the end of time. That's such a creepy song. I will be your father figure. Put your loving hand in mine. I will be your preacher, teacher, till the end of time. Is that Prince? Or is that like El DeBarge or something? I get a lot of loud bees in the bush back in summer. We need them here. Yeah. I mean, I was worried because this tree's been blooming pretty fucking hard the last few days, and I have not seen or heard them, but today they're here. So I guess some local swarm found my trees, and I'm glad for that. That hum is so soothing to me. Oh, it's the dude from Wham. It's George Michael. Okay. That's a gay guy song. You know, George Michael was closeted when he released that song. I will be your father figure. Put your loving hands in mine. He wanted him a twink. It's a song about a dude that wants to fuck a twink. I'll be your preacher. I'll be your teacher. Just let me fuck. No kids equals you have lots of money and time to take care of a rescue animal. True. No kids equals me and my wife are thinking about purchasing a piece of land and having a little garden and possibly a couple goats and like a chicken coop and stuff. Like having not a farm, but a little subsistence, like a victory garden type of thing. Right? And I'd never probably be able to afford that and 3 kids. Salam alaikum. Malaikum salam. That's awesome. That's what we all need. Well, not all of us, but some of us, right? Some of us need that. And, you know, I don't know if need is really it. It's my path. Like, I dealt with the fact that my infertility meant I would never be a father. I would never look into a child's eyes and see my eyes looking back at me, whatever that feels like, right? That's got to be fucking nuts. I'll never feel that. I'll never experience that. I'll never have that as an augmenting force in my life. And so, whatever lessons come from that, and from what I can tell, the lessons are deep, I will never have those lessons. I can be an advocate for children. I do care about children. I think education is like woefully, woefully low on people's priority lists. I think it's the most important thing. Like what we hand to a generation that follows us is the most important thing. We're handing them shit and debt and a collapsing economy and a fucking burning world. That doesn't feel good, right? So I don't ever have to deal with the guilt of I brought a child into the world and I'm probably not going to live another 40 years. And if I do, I die. And then another 20, 30 beyond that, this world might be uninhabitable. Like half of this world might be completely uninhabitable just after I die. And I'm leaving my children to that misery and that neglect. And, you know, that's a moral fucking thing. And I don't have that on me. You know, I have that on my conscience. But the way I dealt with not being able to have a child was to learn to revel in the opportunity that it gave me to focus on my wife and my own life and my own wants and desires and my own output without having to worry about imbuing that into another person as a job. I don't have disdain for this generation. I'll talk frankly with you. I don't have disdain for the Zoomers and the Alphas. I'm worried for them like old men do. And maybe I'm worried for no reason, all right? Maybe I am a boomer. But when I see statistics like high school is graduating 40 or 46% functional illiterates, I worry about what they're going to be able to do to help themselves or to fix any of the problems they face. And so I don't know how to tell them that and have them like get better. And so I feel like maybe if I rag on some of the outcroppings of that. So your generation is functionally illiterate. Your generation was raised on tablets and smartphones. And the result of that is a lot of you are disconnected socially. And it's not just autism spectrum disorder. It's not everybody, but a lot of people in your generation broadly have very short attention spans, very little historical context for anything, desperately want to be treated as adults, but they don't want to read books, they don't want to go to school, they all want to be content creators, they all want to make TikToks for a living. Like that, I'm worried, okay? I'm worried, as an old man does, sitting on his fucking rocking chair on his porch, literally. Man, I fucking hope these kids are okay. They can't read, they can't comprehend, they can't communicate with each other. They have no attention span anymore, and we're handing them a fucking nightmare. That's what it is, man. Yeah, if anything, I have a whole lot of concern for the generation coming up behind me. You know, I'm kind of 1 foot in 2 generations. I'm a cusper, so I was born in 1980, right in the cusp between Gen X and Millennial. So I've got a little bit of both. And I look at Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and I look at the statistics, and I listen to their teachers saying, like, I don't know how to teach them anymore. It's like they have no frame of reference. They can't read. I'm getting 4th graders that don't know their ABCs. I'm getting 10th graders that can't write a sentence. I'm getting 12th graders that can't do fucking basic addition, subtraction. And we're graduating these people by stepping down our fucking expectation. We're not meeting the fucking problem because we can't, because our classrooms are all fucking blown out, and none of this is your fault. You know, I say you if you're in that generation, so I'm not trying to blame you for that at all. I just think my parents failing their kids by handing them tablets. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, right? It's one part of it. The fact that I don't see kids running around as much anymore because they're all just like sitting around together on their phone, that sucks. You know, that's crazy. In fact, you know, I don't know. It's just very different. I feel like my childhood was kind of idyllic in that way. You know, I rode my bike way more than I played video games. I was outside way more than I was indoors. I didn't want to be indoors. I wanted to be out and, you know, swimming and running around and getting into trouble and riding my bike and skateboarding and fucking. Then when I got a little older, like chilling and writing songs and making music and smoking weed and doing fucking theater and writing plays. And like, you know, I feel like my childhood was really nurtured in that way. I was able to like explore as I got older, and as I got wiser, I was able to explore my options. And like, I feel like Gen Z is like missed that. They missed the boat on that. Now, like, I will tell people this. I'm like, dude, when I was 13, 14, I was a big pothead. I'd be sitting around with my friends, and we'd be having conversations about weird works of literature like House of Leaves. I remember there was a long conversation. We all talked about House of Leaves, which is, by the way, a crazy book if you've never read it. We were talking politics and shit. Like, I remember us having a long argument about social Darwinism when I was like 15. Just me and my friends talking about the ins and outs and efficacy of like Ayn Randian social Darwinism, which is basically like survival of the fittest applied to social constructs, right? I really don't think that 99.9% of 14-year-olds could have that conversation right now. I don't think they'd have a frame of reference. I think they could have a conversation about Pokemon. I think they could sit there and talk for 20 fucking hours about the childhood cartoons that they love. I think they could talk 20 fucking hours about gender nonconformity or sex kink or anime, right? But like philosophy, history, religion, society, government, politics, you know, around that age, you're supposed to become aware of those things. You're exposed, like you've developed your reading comprehension enough to where you start seeking out things written by adults and you're reading this shit and you're like, fuck this political idea, fuck this anti-war idea, right? And you're not getting that because you're skibbity scrolling TikTok, watching people lip sync to songs all day. I worry about that shit. Yeah. It is intentional. That's my contention. I don't want to be a conspiratorial guy, but the internet is designed to keep people stupid and docile, right? They want you stupid, docile, and pliable so they can sell you shit. And when you apply that to a child and let that raise them, what do you think you get, man? You get stupid, docile, easily manipulated, pliable people who don't know how to handle money, who don't know how to be adults, who don't know how to do anything other than chase the fucking internet dream, right? That's a problem. They want to keep you fucking half awake long enough to sell you some shit you don't need. That's what it's all about. And when you let that raise your child, well, just look. Like, you don't got to take my word for any of this shit. The Department of Education releases these numbers every year. Go look at 2023. Look at the illiteracy rate amongst high school graduate. Look at the plummeting high school graduation rate, period. So there's a fucking huge epidemic of kids not even finishing high school. Right? It's fucking crazy, man. Go look at the numbers. Don't take my word for it, man. Go look at the Department of Education's fucking numbers that they release every year, every quarter. Because they do standardized testing in schools. Go look at those test scores. And look at those test scores versus 10 years ago and weep. We're graduating functionally illiterate people, raised on cell phones, not fucking getting any perspective from humanity at all, other than fucking just like a few childish things that are meant to sell them merch. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon when you're 20. Pokemon when you're 20. Pokemon when you're 25. Pokemon when you're 30. Bro, it'd be like me having a Ninja Turtles shirt on and making every reference I make. You guys go like, what do you think of Biden? I think that Biden is like Shredder, and that Trump is like Quang, and that the White House is like the Technodrome. And I think we need to be like what Leonardo did. He used his sword to cut into the Technodrome. And that's what I think we should do. We should use a sword to cut into the Technodrome and then squeeze the mommy milkers in the White House. No cap, on God. For real, on God, that's fire. I feel that. You know, like, but for some reason, when you do it with Pokemon or SpongeBob or fucking BoJack Horseman or whatever cartoon you're into, and that's the only cultural reference you got, it's like one of 5 you got in your hip pocket, and they're all kids' cartoons, child's properties to sell you merch. How am I supposed to talk to you, dude? How are you supposed to fucking deal? Not to sound like a snob, but I once referenced my love of Napoleon's life, and my young friend thought I was talking about Napoleon Dynamite. It was disappointing. Oh yeah, dude, that'll happen all the time. Like, I will be talking to a person and then they will drop a SpongeBob reference at a 44-year-old man like it's normal for a 25-year-old to still be living their cartoon fantasy. It's like a pineapple under the sea. Oh, dude, I like SpongeBob too. Me too, bro. SpongeBob is the best. They're two 35-year-old men. And I'm supposed to be like, yeah, that's cool. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. We're fine. Everything's fine. No, everything is not fine. There is a failure to launch epidemic in this country. People are staying at home with mama and dada till they're fucking 30. People love to make excuses for that. Oh, it's harder now. It's like, get a fucking roommate and shut up. It wasn't easy when I was a kid just because a dollar stretched a little further. Go fuck yourself. There's millions and millions and millions of people doing it. Go do it. But no, you know, they're never going to because their parents are the ones that can do that. Millennial women are some of the most broken people, dude. It is so weird. Well, like, okay, millennial women on TikTok or on social media, the way they do this, I don't know what this, I am so happy. Today I am going to my favorite place in the mall. Oh my goodness. It is so fun and I am going to have such a good time. It's like, homegirl, you're 30. The best way to understand that is not to ask in the chat for me to bring you personally up to speed in a conversation that's been going on for 90 minutes. The best way to handle that is to rewind the stream or shut up and listen until you know what's going on. So don't ask, what are we talking about? You're not the main character, bro. This is a conversation we've been having for 97 minutes and 35 seconds as of this minute. The fact that you stumbled in doesn't matter to anybody in this room but you, so shut up. Sit and listen. Don't ask. Millennial TikTok women obsessing about their high school trends becoming uncool need to be studied. The whole shit is being studied. Everything I'm talking about, from the detrimental effects of letting your child be exposed to fucking 12 hours of screen time a day from the age of 4, to the infantilization problem that I'm talking about, the fact like Disney adults are a thing, like a real big thing now. 20, 30-year-old people who their whole life is filtered through Disney, going to Disneyland, right? It's being studied. This is not, I'm not making this shit up. People are going like, Paul paints with too broad a brush. They're doing multiple independent studies right now on why people are being infantilized. Because it's not just a theory anymore. We have numbers. Yep. We have numbers now. So people are failing school, dropping out of school in greater numbers now. We know that's a fact. Okay? People are holding on to their childhood fucking interests and centering them way longer than before, to the detriment of their adult interests and their mind broadening at all. Hence, 30-year-olds referencing SpongeBob all day, right? We know that literacy rates have plummeted, and the worst part of illiteracy, which is reading comprehension, is at the all-time fucking low in the last graduate class. And graduates in 2023 were more functionally illiterate than any fucking generation since the Department of Education started keeping numbers. And that's not me making shit up. That's me just telling you the truth. So if you're gonna tell me that that's not having a profound effect on people in their fucking teens and 20s and below, I'm gonna call bullshit. And if you're gonna tell me I shouldn't be worried, I'm gonna call bullshit. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know the slang. My bad. I didn't mean to be like dismissive with that. I just thought you meant what you said. I'm not aware of the slang. It's because corpos can make money off of selling an adult a SpongeBob hoodie. Right, right. If they can keep you buying stupid SpongeBob shit as an adult, they can sell you more expensive SpongeBob shit. Of course they want you there. Of course they want you being 30 or pushing 30 into and having centering Pokemon. Because now you're the parent and you're the child. Right? You don't have to beg yourself for the big $500 plushie Pikachu. You can just fucking drain your bank account and get it. Of course they want you there. Forever. And a lot of you, I feel like you want you there forever too. So it's a really good symbiotic relationship to pick your pockets throughout your life and keep you dumb and consuming. But the problem is a lot of you want to set down the Pikachu doll and come have an adult conversation sometimes, and you're just not equipped. I don't know how to equip you, but, yeah. Like I said, at 13, 14, not all the time, but I was having philosophical conversations, political conversations. If you're not doing that, and you're centering Pokemon and mommy milkers and being a furry, you're like 20 years behind where I am. Easily. Like, by the time I was like 13, 14, I wasn't a Ninja Turtles dude. Dude, I read Kafka's Metamorphosis at 16 and talked to my friends about it. We weren't talking Pokemon anymore. We were talking philosophy and movies and music and getting pussy. You know? It's like people commenting on IP while they have DBZ avatars is wild. I know. And it's not even the avatar. I get what you're saying, Doom Kid, and I agree. But, like, you could have a fucking DBZ avatar and still read books. It's not the avatar. But, yeah. People that are living in fucking Pokemon land that all of a sudden want to cosplay as an adult for the day and have a conversation with me, and I realize, like, an hour into it, I'm wasting my time with a person that has no cultural references outside of their skibbity toilet shit, their furry fandom, and their fucking whatever it is, right? Dude, it's a fucking problem, bro. It's a waste of my time to talk to somebody that has no frame of reference. I'm not an educator. Oh, baby, thank you. I already had my pills, though.
Okay.
I
I didn't.
Okay, good. Good. Look at this little gentleman here. You ever look at him sometimes and think, what a gent? He is a gent, isn't he? Some dogs aren't gents. Because, like, some people will say, oh, look at it, he's a little gentleman. Not all dogs are gents. Salvador is not a gentleman. He's a rascal. Yujiro is not a gentleman. He's like a general. You know? That's a gent. A dapper, bug-eyed gent. With a fine mustachio, if I may say so myself. Cheers to you, Dino. Show the pup. Come here. The people have requested your presence. They want your love. They want your cuteness. See what I mean? A gentleman. A gentleman and a scholar of stature and grace. A fine mustachio and beard. A fine coat of resplendent black, white, and gray and brown. All the colors of the rainbow. Beautiful eyes, expressive eyes, and an itchy butt that likes to be scratched. Yes, yes, yes. Booty spank, booty spank, booty spank. Chest rub. Goodbye. There you go. Oh my God, he's adorable. I know.
Everyone loves that.
And dude, every person in the world melts into a puddle of love when Dinor walks into the room. They all want to grab him up and snuggle him like the teddy bear that he is. He has very human eyes. It's the whites. It's because he's a Shih Tzu mix. Got their bug eyes. And so most dogs, you don't see the whites of their eyes like you do on a human. But you can watch Dinor's fucking eyes like move around the room and shit. You're like, what are you doing? And sometimes he'll look at you and it's like, and like you can't help but anthropomorphize whatever his look is because he's got those eyebrows too. They're so expressive. He'll be like, and I'm like, why is my dog looking at me like a human? A resplendent gent, a gentleman and a scholar, okay? Yes, a refined gent. A true Renaissance pup. That's Dinor. Moved all over this country, flown on all kinds of planes, seen the sights that America has to show. True worldly pup. I think we can link this back to what we discussed earlier together about people seem to stress age gaps in a way they did not. Yeah, maybe so. I think you're right, man. Maybe that's where the concern comes from, and where the like kind of trend of infantilizing women, especially just women that are 20 or 21, and going like, that's a literal child, Lamau, and like, no, that's literally not. That's actually legally and literally not a child, right? So this like kind of like infantilization of older people now, and maybe that's why people look at me suspect when they find out that you're younger than me, because they assume, as I do, the baseline from your generation is not great. Most people in your generation are not all that smart, not all that well read, not all that interesting, not all that developed. I don't know if that's true, but maybe that's why. That's a good point. You know, that's a good point. Maybe it does. It does loop. Accidentally swiped down on this live and immediately got some dude with a backwards cap yelling at his chat while playing Fortnite. Bro, welcome to the internet. Why didn't you stay? Why didn't you hang out there, bro? That's way better than this. I mean, I do yell at my chat sometimes, let's be real, but come on. We're talking about things, though. We're like having a facsimile of a conversation. That's cool. That's what I love to do. I love to conversate. I love to be heard and understood.
I need to dye my hair like little streaks of gray highlights. Think that would help.
No, because it's not your hair. It's you got a baby face. You're just beautiful. It's clear you're young.
Maybe I'll put on glasses.
Like a big warty nose or something. I don't know. And oh, we could get you like a latex turkey neck. Maybe. I don't know. Like, but I don't care. Like, they can judge. It's just strange. I like to examine why I think they do judge. Because I feel like a lot of times it's really like they're trying to insult me, but they're insulting you. They're saying you don't have agency. You were stupid enough to let some fucking fat stoner hypnotize you into being his concubine or whatever the fuck they think, right? Which is like pretty much the opposite of what happened. But if anything, I'm your concubine and you hypnotized me. No, I'm kidding. It's just like it feels really infantilizing to the woman in the relationship when she's 26 and people call her my daughter. Like a 26-year-old woman can't choose to date an older man and wouldn't be okay dating that. Like, what would be weirder in your mind? That I'm living over here with my dog and my 26-year-old daughter, or I'm living over here with my wife who's 26?
I don't think the other is even really weird necessarily.
I think it would be stranger to me to have a guy and his daughter cohabitating and just endlessly for years. You know, it's whatever. I don't judge them for it, but I, as a neighbor, would be more like eyebrow raised at that than, oh, that dude's got a younger wife.
Why
But
would it be eyebrow raising to you?
because it might imply some kind of like fucking incestuous relationship or something. I mean, who lives with their dad all the time?
Well, like, there's a lot of people my age that still live with their parents, and they only have one parent.
I guess. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
This is a 3-bedroom house. I don't know that the other 2 bedrooms are offices.
Right, but they only see me and you coming. And the assumption, at least, was that you're my daughter. First. Wedding ring on your finger.
I mean, that's far away.
Yeah, but I mean, you can see it. That shit blings. It's not like you were hiding it. Wedding ring on my finger, wedding ring on her finger. They've never seen another woman come or go. But she's my daughter. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not offended. They didn't mean anything by it, but it's just strange to me. People are weirded out by that. I don't know. Rent is out of control, I know. And I hate to tell you this, but it was out of control when I was a kid too. You see, the money went farther, but you know what minimum wage was for my first job? $5.40, I think I made at my first job at Wendy's. So we got paid less, right? And to overcome the high rent that nobody could pay on their own, you know what we did? We did this novel thing. We got together in 2s and 3s and split the rent.
You could even do that with buying your house too. Roommates.
Well, yeah, you can buy a house and then have a bunch of people rent out your house.
Yeah.
Rent out your rooms, live in it too, have roommates, and let them pay your fucking bill. But at the very least, like, get in a 3-bedroom apartment and split into 3 ways or 4 ways or something. That's doable. Sorry, you're not going to convince me it ain't. You can, yeah. Mr. Sinatra lived with 8 roommates in a big giant house. If you look at it, there's all kinds of opportunities like that all over every city. It's like, look, I've got a big house. It's exactly what we just mentioned. I bought a big house. I want to help subsidizing it, so I let it out. I let out rooms. $750 a month or $500 a month or whatever, you get a room. Okay. Then you work. Make sure you make your bills, and you work on getting your own place. That's the step, right? And that step may be tougher than it was when I was a kid. But make no bones about it. This idea I had it on Easy Street when I was a kid is fucking retarded. I slept on a mattress on the floor all through my 20s because I couldn't afford a fucking bed frame. Okay? I didn't own a couch. My roommate owned the couch. I didn't own a coffee table. My roommate owned that. I didn't have dishes until I was like 25. I had plates and paper plates and a couple plastic cups, a couple chipped fucking plates that somebody had given me. Like mismatched couple of coffee mugs in my thing in different drawers. I was fucked. I had nothing. Spider webs in my pantry. Like, that wasn't easy. I'm not saying you don't have it a little harder or even way harder. I'm just saying don't look at me and say Easy Street because you were born in this. No. You have to do the same shit. Dude, I didn't have a chair when I first moved in. Dude, me and my friend Rodney sat on the floor for the first 6 months we lived together when I moved out at 18. We literally sat on the floor, and we had a TV that was on the ground. And we'd sit in front of it, cross-legged, and drink and play guitar and laugh. And we had a third roommate, a woman that I, didn't know very well, but she rented out one of the rooms. So it was 3 of us in a 2-bedroom. We shared Rodney and I split the master bedroom. We both slept in there on mattresses on the floor. We shared the master bath. She had the guest bathroom and the guest bedroom. We shared the kitchen. We shared the living room. Everybody paid their bit, and that's the only way we would have made it. And that's still true. Ever miss those times? No. I went through the Rolodex real quick, and I was like, is there anything I'd really want to go back and do there? No. But it was an important time in my life. I learned a lot of fucking lessons, obviously. Your first apartment, your first time away from your parents, you're 18, your ass out, you got a job, you gotta wear a fucking tie to work. It was crazy. So I learned a lot of good shit, but it was a rough road to hoe and I would not go back. Yeah, this was in Chandler, Arizona was where I got my first apartment. I wasn't even really my first apartment. I was subleasing from my friend and his roommate. Not illegally, but like against the contract. All right, they're not allowed to move another person in and sublease to them, but they did that with me. So my first apartment that my name was on was in Tempe, Arizona. So just right around the way from fucking Chandler. I lived in Phoenix, Chandler, Tempe, and briefly Mesa before I moved back to California. Couldn't afford Scottsdale. Probably still couldn't. Scottsdale is like, you'll hear it like rich people will say it. Oh, I was out in Scottsdale last, and you'll be like, where's that? You probably think like Scottsdale's like some California beach town. No, suburb of Phoenix that, dude, I swear to God, the cops drive Dodge Vipers. I went to, because I used to have to, I worked for Starbucks, so I used to pick up shifts because I was poor. So anytime somebody from another store wanted coverage, I was the man. I'd pull a double. Like sometimes I'd get a call like, hey, Paul, I'm from fucking such and such in Tempe. Can you pick up a closing shift? I'd be like, yep. Even if I opened, and I opened the next day, dude, that's money in the bank, bro. Are you kidding me? So I was all over that area, and I covered shifts and shit in Scottsdale, and the cops drove around in Hummers and Dodge Vipers. So their fast pursuit vehicle was a Dodge Viper, and their general patrol vehicle was a military Hummer, not an H2. The H2 wasn't a thing yet. In Texas, they're police Hellcats. See what I mean? Pull up in a demon on God, but it's the cops now. That's Scottsdale. You better not try and outrun the cops with your scat pack in fucking Scottsdale, because they will beat you. Oh yeah, Scottsdale's like a mini Beverly Hills, kind of. You will see like super high-end like Prada storefronts, Gucci, Fendi, right? They have all that shit. You'll see more like Ferraris and Lambos and Fiskars and fucking just like all of the like fucking Koenigsegg's just driving around on the street there than the only other place in the world, maybe New York, certain parts of New York, probably upstate, and Kelly, Los Angeles specifically. So it's nuts there, man. Super wealthy. I think there's like a PGA golf course there. I think Scottsdale is home of like a PGA Tour golf course. So it's constantly got celebrities coming in. Like I know for a fact President Trump golfed on the Scottsdale golf course during the 2020 thing because he made a big deal of it. He's trying to get Arizona. And it's all resort hotels, and like I said, like fine wine and fine dining and like luxury goods out the Gucci store, Prada, Fendi, high-end watch stores, high-end watch brands, high-end car dealerships. Like you can go actually like window shop a Ferrari. They won't let you like go in or touch it. They want a verification that you're there to purchase, which means give me your fucking credit information so I can run it to see if you even have an ability to sit in one of these cars. But you can look at them through the windows and shit, usually. They'll let you do that before they run you off. Oh yeah, they have an art museum in Scottsdale that like gets all of the big shit that tours through, Van Goghs and Rembrandts and Picassos and Basquiat's and the whole fucking nine. It's just a constant. They got like a renowned art museum there. It's a very philanthropic, rich, upper crusty white town. What's my dream car? My dream car is a 1972 Corvette Stingray with a competition orange with a black racing stripe offset to the right running from hood to bumper. That's my dream fucking car. cherried out, all original or as original as I can get it. That's a good car. I know. Good taste. I know. I'm a bit of a car nerd, but I'm not like the type of car nerd that knows how to work on cars or would ever spend a ton of money on a fucking special car like that. If I got rich, I might have one of those. The 68 Pontiac Firebird. I almost died in a Firebird. My parents owned a 1982 Pontiac Firebird. Hot car, fucking obviously, but I almost died in one, and my parents were almost killed in a horrible car accident in a Firebird. So I'm not a big fan of Firebirds. But you do you. Love Scooter and the Hog DFFs yesterday. It was a treat. Thanks, Paul. Cool. But that's why Firebirds are so cool. That is kind of true. They go vroom vroom and they crash boom boom, you know? That is why they're cool. Yeah, the show did feel good. Like the energy was tight. Me and Scotty were riffing and laughing a lot. That always feels good. I think it comes off good to the audience. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, man. It was a lot of good times. Yeah, no problem, Jordan. See you later, man. Like the O2 Viper when I watched it beat a fighter jet in a race. I mean, that was fucking bullshit, dude. A fighter jet fucking balls out. If, you know, like given the amount, like if you took and did the math on the runway that the Viper got and the run up and airspeed that the fucking, dude, that was such a stunt. Dude, if you let an F-16 pilot open that thing all the way up, the Viper never would have even gotten off the line, bro. Let alone beat it. I mean, come on. Come on. Don't believe everything you see. Kind of want a moped. You know what I kind of want? I've seen dudes tooling around on these like electric Razor scooters with the bigger tires, so they're like more all-wheel, like more accessible to go over cracks and stuff, you know? And I've seen them tooling around on those, and they go pretty fast. They look zippy, and they kind of look fun. So I think like once we get moved, because the town that we're in is not super walkable, but it's small. So the town we're moving to, I mean it's walkable, but it's got a lot of areas where I could just zip around, you know, zoom, 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 go to the park, zip, 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 zip down to the beach. The Gen 2 Camaros and Trans Ams look sick as hell. Bro, I'm telling you, for your money, if you want like an American car that has hypercar looks and even close to fucking supercar performance, you got one choice. And I think they look mean as fuck, dude. These modern Corvettes with the fucking sports packages and the fucking scoops and the sweeps and the fucking big spoiler on them and shit and the whole nine, and lowered and all mean to the ground and shit. Dude, every time I see one of those, I think, oh fuck, it's a Ferrari. No, never mind. That's a, oh shit, it's a Lambo. Nope, that's just a fucking Corvette. And I'm not even like a giant fan of Vets. Like, I know my favorite car is a Vet, but I mean, come on. I'm not a Vet apologist, but these new fucking like 2020s Vets are unreal, bro. Unreal. For that money, yeah, but see that, or a Viper, but for that money, you can't get a Viper. If you plop down fucking 80K, you can get a fucking Vet that looks like a hypercar and sounds like a hypercar, if not drives like a hypercar. I mean, it's still not going to beat anything fucking reasonable off the line with a V12 in it. You know, you got like a V8, big, throaty, you know? You're not going to get anything like that for 80K anywhere. What?
The only times we can see Furiosa today are like right now or at 10 o'clock tonight.
All right, well, plan B then. Let's go to the park this evening and then go out to lunch or to dinner together afterwards. So
There's
let's.
nothing else that you think looks interesting.
Well, you can read them to me if something else came out, but the last time we looked, it was like basically Furiosa or question mark.
Yeah, it's The Watchers. I don't know what that is.
Not
The
interested.
Strangers, Chapter 1.
Nope. Wait, what is that?
The Strangers, Chapter 1. Let's see.
Like what? Like let me ask chat too while we're looking. What's out right now that isn't Furiosa that's worth looking at? Like what's new at the theaters that you guys have seen that you would recommend to a dude that's like a movie buff?
So after their car breaks down in an eerie small town, a young couple are forced to spend the night in a remote cabin. Panic ensues as they're terrorized by three masked strangers who strike with no mercy.
Oh, I've seen this is an old movie. Is this a re-release? Or like a remake?
May 17th, 2024 is when it came out.
I'm gonna have to look into that because that's an old movie. I've seen The Strangers.
Yeah,
So are they rebooting it?
I guess.
Because if that's the case, we're not seeing that. It's a prequel? No. We're not seeing a prequel to The Strangers. The Strangers is not great. Shitty, man. So bad reviews on that. Like nobody's seen anything. It's like not a great, like this is usually like June and July are usually a hot time at the movies, bro.
I just don't understand why they're only having 2 showtimes for Furious.
Because it's bombing. Like they don't want to waste the theater space on it. It bombed. It did horribly. So yeah, I mean, we just, it came out like weeks ago and we've just missed the boat. Bad Boys? Dude, I don't want to see another reboot. Fucking remake with now they're old as fuck. And plus, fuck Will Smith. Like, I know I'll watch movies with him in it, but if I'm not going to put $1 in his pocket for schlock.
Alright, so The Watchers is when Nina, a 20-year-old artist, finds shelter after getting stranded on an expansive, untouched forest in Western Ireland. She unknowingly becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers that are watched and stalked by mysterious creatures each night.
Sounds like a fucking pretty bog standard trapped in the woods horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worth paying money to go see in the fucking theater, That one feels like one when we're bored here at night and like, let's try this shit. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, if there's just nothing really, and you don't want to wait till 10 to see Furiosa, you don't want to, like, leave the second either.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not dry. Like, I don't even want to go see a movie this early in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like an evening movie person. That just makes sense to me. I don't fucking know. Yeah, that sucks, though. We just missed the boat. We were just too busy when Furiosa came out. But, like I said, it did horribly, so I don't know.
We can see Midsummer Director's Cut on Thursday. That might be cool.
You know what? You didn't like that movie, though.
Well, I liked it more than I liked Hereditary.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that you didn't like. Yeah, you were not but you didn't really care for the movie all that as much as I did. I remember.
I like Midsummer.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm mixing up Hereditary with because you were not a huge fan of Hereditary, but you liked Midsummer. That would be cool. You want to do that
Yeah,
instead?
because we could see it on the big screen and see the.
I never got to
extra
see it on the
stuff.
big screen, and we get to see the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just book it now so we get a seat, and let's do that, and that'll be date night. So date night's tomorrow night because we get to go see Midsummer on the big with the fucking director's cut. Hell yes. That movie's crazy, dude. I fucking love that movie. I learned something
We can
new.
do IMAX at 7. Will that work?
100%.
Okay.
Book it and get us our seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I trust you. Fuck yeah. IMAX? Oh, I thought it was going to be just a screening on a standard screen. IMAX too? Easy choice. Easy choice. Paul is not going to watch Inside Out 2. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for handling that for me, mods. That ain't happening, bro. Never in my fucking wildest nightmares would I be sitting in a theater with my wife to watch Inside Out 2. Nice. Happy you guys found something. Hell yeah, dude. Midsummer on the IMAX screen. I've never seen the director's cut, so I'll get to see new shit. Every time I've watched that movie, and I've probably seen it a dozen times now, I learn something different. I see something I didn't see. I think of an angle I didn't think of.
Oh shit, there's a lot of people going.
Well, yeah, it's a special fucking thing. Let's see. Where are we at? There's the screen. Oh, yeah. We're fine. Let's get these right here. Or wait. Are the red ones we can get? Or the blue? Or the...
Yeah, the ones that have people
Oh, people in them have
yeah.
people in them. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, it is pretty packed, huh? The screen is there. We can get an edge and back. That's always good in an IMAX, honestly. You put us up there. Is the orange ones the ones you were gonna pick?
No, that's just the recommendation.
It's recommended. Yeah, that's not bad. We could get all the way in the back on an IMAX. That's always good. And there's room for us to get together. So we could do that. There you go. Let's try that. We might end up sitting next to people, but the IMAX seats are pretty fucking decent. Or if you want, you could push it to the aisle seat, like near the back.
I think that's good.
You think so?
Yeah.
All the way in the back. IMAX, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 170 minutes. That's what it says.
It's long.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's already a long. Yeah, it's the director's cut, so there's probably like, it's already a long movie, but it wasn't 170. It was like a 130-minute movie, so they must have added a lot, which is awesome. Oh man, that's gonna be so great. I don't like being right next to people I don't know, but in a packed theater and an IMAX theater is usually okay, because usually you got enough room to like stretch your legs out a little bit or whatever. Ever found a diamond? No, I don't think so. I don't think I ever have found a diamond. Are you going to see the Ghost movie that's coming out soon? It's called Right Here, Right Now. I haven't heard of it, so I don't know. Maybe. I will go see anything Paul Thomas Anderson touches with the tip of his dick. That man is, in my mind, arguably the greatest director working right now. I think he makes the most beautiful, beautiful backdrops for his films. Like, he really makes movies that are evocative of an era as well as a character study, which is so hard to do. So anything PTA touches, I will watch. 100%. I mean, a lot of my top films that I would want to show somebody who's never seen them are PTA movies. I would love, one of the first round of films that I watched with Amelia were like Boogie Nights, The Master, There Will Be Blood, etc. I think she had seen a couple of those before, but like those were like some of the first things I suggested. Like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Right? Oh, Ghost is in the band Ghost. Okay, they're making a movie. Yeah, you know what? I like their music. Can I just say that without shitting on Ghost? I like their music. Their little fucking film shorts that they've done are cute, tongue-in-cheek. I get it. They're trying to like underscore what a joke it all is so that people don't think they're really Satanists or whatever. That's kind of what I get from their movies. Like, I get from their movies that they're really trying to underscore the absurdity of Christians getting freaked out because they're pretending to be Satan worshipers. Like, they're doing a big theater performance and they make these goofy tongue-in-cheek movies that are all comedy and slapstick and shit to like underscore that. But I really don't think it needs to be underscored. Like, it's obvious to me that the people that are rocking out playing music that sounds like it's a blend of like metal and 80s ballads, right, are not worshiping the devil. They're just using it as a cool set piece. Like Alice Cooper wasn't worshiping the devil, right? Alice Cooper just looked like a freaking devil worshiper. and furthermore, even if they were worshiping the devil, it wouldn't matter. Like ultimately, who cares if the music rocks? Like, I'll listen to you, and you worship a bloodthirsty, vengeful Yahweh God. Like, why wouldn't I listen to them? Like, your God drowned the entire planet, babies included, because he was unhappy with how much people were, like, observing him and loving him. Like, that's not exactly, like, something I would brag about my God doing, but you Christians are a different breed, man. Yeah, my God's so petty and vengeful that he drowned millions of babies because he was mad. He was butthurt because we left him on red. You know, like, that's basically it. Yeah, worship that. Yeah, okay, cool.
But you know, that'll be really cool doing like a rewatch like that.
Especially with like the extra stuff and getting to see it in the full format too. It's awesome. It's gonna be great. There'll be energy in the theater because, you know, the people coming to see that know it already. So it's going to be a bunch of nerds and film buffs in there, and that energy will carry over in their reactions and shit. Paul, I scrolled down and got a Muslim guy streaming and reading the chat while driving. Oh, man. Assalamu alaikum. Malaikum salam, brother. He's out there on the hustle. He's probably door dashing, making that fucking 50 cents on YouTube grind. Probably doing Postmates. By the way, Paul, I dig that you mentioned Playboy Cardi to be fire as fuck. Yeah, dude. Dude, that's why, like, I just kind of hate people that are music boomers or just culture boomers in general. Like, the one thing I'm not worried about the kids is they're still making fire-ass fucking music. So maybe they are all right, you know? Like, Kodak Black is dope. Playboy Cardi is dope. I like all of that shit, dude. Post Malone. All this, like, new fangled shit. Ty Dolla Sign and fucking 21 Savage and all these dudes, NBA Youngboy and fucking, dude, I'm a huge fan of YNW Melly. I think his voice is super compelling and like his lyrics are super compelling and he's just like a super compelling performer. Like, there's just like endless fucking good shit out. But boomers want to boom, you know? Yeah, Nipsey. I mean, tons that made great music and then died. Nipsey Hussle, King Von, Pop Smoke, fucking XXX, Lil Peep. The list goes on and on and on and on, right? So dudes that made great music that would have had fucking huge careers, they got cut off in the middle of it. It's just like so dynamic and so crazy and sad and fun and filled with like just great music that I don't know how anybody hates it.
It's adding a solid 20 minutes to the movie.
Sick.
Not gonna happen in 20 minutes.
Fuck yeah, again. Yeah, it might come, you know, a lot of that's going to come in just extended shots, extended transitional or establishing shots, but it's still beautiful. Like, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, XXX was going to be fucking a multi-talented artist. Like, he was starting to play with some shit. I don't know if you guys know this. Maybe you do. He was starting to play with, like, rock. Because he was a fan of, like, 90s and 80s rock music and 70s rock music and shit. He's a Slipknot fan. He was a Korn fan. He was like a Marilyn Manson fan. He's a Nirvana fan. And he was starting to play with like a blend of that kind of aesthetic and his rock. And it's still bleeding over into music. You're starting to hear like artists use way more like guitar riffs and stuff and live guitar and bands and stuff. And I love it. But he was going places, man. That's so fucked up, man. Mac Miller, another great one. Fucking dead too soon. And just like, dude, there are more great artists in the last 10 years that have died tragically than there were in the 10 years previous to that. And people are bitching, right? You know, and then some of the people that are from the previous generation are still doing it. Say what you want about him. Kanye is still making bangers, bro. Like, whatever it is, whatever his illness is, it carries into beauty into his music. So, you know, it's a great time to be a hip hop head. It's a great time to be a fan of music in general, but and movies, but a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of people extend their criticisms of this generation to stuff that doesn't really deserve it. Oh, yeah. Dios mío, man. Liam and me, we were gonna fuck you in the ass Saturday. Now we're gonna fuck you in the ass Wednesday instead, baby. Woo! I'll show myself up. Oh. There is something about yoga with the sun in your face. Those tingles of like blood flow and feeling your body waking up from it, and that sun just baking your skin. Whew. That's special. At least it is to me, and utterly necessary for me to feel like a human being. Paul, do you still think that Ukraine, Russia war is a civil war? I don't know that I ever thought it was a civil war. I think it has the attributes of a civil war. We're talking about a failed state that balkanized, and now there is territorial dispute, right? So it's not like people want to act like Russia just like pounced on Ukraine with no history with that country, when like the area that's in contention is, I think it's something like 84 or 85% Russian culturally identifying and Russian speaking. And so like people want to paint it like it's just Russia decided to pounce on a place it had absolutely no history with or claim to. And me underscoring the fact that there is a lot of history between these two countries. These borders are not some long established thing. They've been in contention for a long time. And that there are people in Ukraine who identify as Russians, right, in these areas that are in dispute. I'm not saying that means Russia is justified in invading Ukraine. I'm saying it makes it a more complex fucking topic than people want to paint it. What areas? Luhansk, Donetsk, right? Donetsk. These are two of the fucking names that popped to my head in that eastern fucking border region of Ukraine, right? The Donbass and Crimea, right? Ukraine essentially became independent as a result of the USSR collapse, which happened, by the way, when I was like 10 years old. So it's not like ancient history, right? And it was indeed part of Russia during the USSR. Exactly. It had its own cultural identity, as did multiple regions within Russia during the Soviet Socialist Republic, right? So I'm not claiming that Russia has a right to go in and bomb everybody to death. But I'm saying you painting it like Russia just pounced on a country it had nothing to do with is fucking disingenuous. So, you know. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Dude, I got one thing to say. I'm glad Reagan dead. And Killer Mike fans? This chat is making me cringe. Yeah, I mean, there's some cringe, but there's some non-cringe too, you know. Seen vloggers interview older people in those regions too, and they will say they preferred USSR rule. I mean, a lot of that can be fucking propaganda, though, one way or the other, right? I don't really trust polling, and I don't trust social media at all. You can stage events and shit now pretty easy without even like editing things or using AI. So you could tell an old lady, hey, I'll give you 500 rubles if you say you preferred the fucking communist government, and then go like, oh, look at this old lady. Did you prefer a rule under the new Ukrainian government or communist rule? Oh, communist rule. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we got our clip. Here's your 500 rubles. Get out of here, bitch. You know, that might be what happened. In fact, in a lot of cases, that is what happened. You know, so I don't trust that shit. I do trust history, or at the very least, broad historical perspective. Ukraine briefly became independent before the USSR and overwhelmingly voted to be independent. That's fine, but it doesn't change the fact that they were part of the USSR for the entirety of the existence of that state. I mean, you can't ignore it. I'm sorry that their rights were trampled. Unfortunately, it happens on this planet. It's happening right now in multiple places, right? The rights of Ukrainian people are being trampled not only by Russia, but by Ukrainian conscription agents and border guards who refuse to let them flee their fucking burning country, and who are increasingly rounding up people, older and older people, more and more unfit people, to send them to die in what's being described as World War I trench warfare over a fucking strip of land where the people, most of the people that live in it, want to be Russians. Like, we're facing a fucking... Like, it's lunacy to me that nobody sees that perspective, right? Like, there are people in the United States that are comfortable with Ukraine fighting to the last Ukrainian, conscripting every last human being that could literally hold a gun or throw a grenade, and throwing them into a burning pit. You know? I don't get it. Over a nationalistic border. How is this leftism? How is this nationalistic, flag-waving, Slava Ukraini, Ghost of Kiev shit fit into leftism? Leftism, the way I understand it, is not about national borders. It's about international solidarity between the fucking proletariat. It's about the working class ruling. It's not about fighting over, squabbling over land, killing each other, conscripting your citizens to fight for a strip of land none of them clearly care about anymore. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to chase people through the streets of Kiev. They were fighting a losing war from the jump. The United States hustled and bustled them and made a ton of money. Now they're in debt forever to us. So whatever happens, Donbass goes to fucking Russia or not, Ukraine permanently attached to our hip pocket. We got what we wanted out of the deal, so fuck them. Dude, there's not going to be anybody left in Ukraine to rebuild it and flourish under a democracy pretty soon. Over a border, over a fucking nationalistic flag, over a region that's been contentious since forever, and a region now that's just like typified by death and destruction. Russian people dead in the dirt, buried in mass graves. Ukrainian people dead in the dirt, buried in mass graves. These are young men, young women, young people who were conscripted largely into their military to fight a war they don't really fucking care about, never would choose to do on their own. A lot of them tried to run away, tried to flee their countries, and were caught by border guards and forcibly conscripted into the army. And they're dying from a bleeding out gut wound, crying for their mothers in a puddle of fucking blood in East Ukraine. And you want to wave the flag at me? That's what happens on a battlefield when men are wounded and dying. If you're a survivor and you walk among the walking dead, the moaning dead, you know what they all moan for? Their mothers. You will hear the word mama, mom, mama please, over and over again as these people bleed their lifeblood into the ground. And you want to wave a flag in my face and tell me to look at that and not that? Fuck you. You're a psycho. How about that? Dude, read a little bit of the history of the Civil War. About the fields of dead and dying. Men clawing at their bodies trying to find the wound and their guts are hanging out. Like, do you know, like if you look at pictures of the dead in Civil War, it looks like somebody went through their pockets. But do you know why they all look like that? Because they were desperately trying to find where the bullet hole was before they bled out. So they ripped off part of their coat. They fucking ripped their shirt. Oh God, mom, oh mom, please. And they died in their hundreds and thousands, guys. It's not fucking a joke. And they're doing it right now in Ukraine, and people want to wave a fucking nation's flag in your face and tell you, I'm willing to fucking sacrifice that. Well, fuck you, I ain't. I'm not willing to take a person off the streets of Kiev and put them in bleeding out in a ditch, screaming for their mother, for a flag, or for a strip of land, or for a nationalistic border dispute. And that's what I stand on. They beg for their lives. At the end, they don't give a fuck about the border anymore. They beg for their lifeblood. They beg for another chance. They beg for their mothers to come save them. In the end, they're not saying, Slava, Ukrainian, like they do in the movies. They're saying, Mom, please help. Somebody, please help me. Please bandage my wound. Please save me. Don't let me die here in this ditch. Please, Mom, someone. That's what they say. And I'm sorry to fucking put that in your mind today, but that's the truth. And that's why I'm an anti-war leftist and will be to the day I fucking die, calling for my mother. And if you want to wave a flag and be a nationalist in the face of that horror, you're never going to make an inch with me, bro. Most people haven't seen that. That's what's real. I know. They've seen the movies where it's like, you know what, brothers? We're all going to die today. We're never going home. And I'm sorry. But you know what? If we can do this, and we can take this hill in Ukraine, we'll survive. Are you with me? Slava Ukraini! And really what's going on is like, Mom, I don't want to die. fuck, I don't want to die. Please, oh God. That's what's really going on. And you don't want to hear that. I know you don't want to hear that. You want to have this nationalistic gung-ho fantasy in your fucking head, but that's not what's happening. When men and women are bleeding out their life's blood, they're not talking about like nationalistic borders, whether or not Crimea is Ukrainian or Russian. They're calling for their mothers. They're begging for one more chance to take a breath of air that isn't gurgling with blood. They're begging for somebody, anybody, anything, any god, any human, their dead mothers, to please come save them. And that's the truth. If you actually listen to people who have survived battlefields, they all say it. So if you want to wave a flag in front of that and tell me a border is more important than that, you're never going to make an inch of ground with me. Capiche? Paul, what do we do when Russia rolls up to Finland and demands their territory? They won't. They won't. Russia, I just watched a video saying, people are saying we were going, it's literally Putin having a talk with a military guy. I'll find you the clip if you don't believe me. People say we are going to war with the West. He's talking in Russian. People say we are going to war with the West, going to the war with NATO. And he gives the numbers. The Russian military has this amount of tanks, this amount of soldiers, this amount of conscription ability. NATO and its supporting forces have 10 times that. The United States, which is the major member nation of NATO, has 100 times what we have, or 25 times what we have, whatever the number was. He says, this is absurd, the idea of us warring against NATO. He says this. So when he shows up to Finland, there's a NATO base, and he's not going to fucking poke the bear. The reason he went into Ukraine is because we refused to take Ukraine into NATO. Period, point blank. Because it's illegal to let a country into NATO when there is a border dispute. But I thought Russia just invaded for no reason. Then why isn't Ukraine in NATO? What's the border dispute? In fact, I think I heard a story just a few years ago before all this popped off about the Ukrainian government bombing East Ukraine. What was that? What was that news story? Am I just making that up? No, I'm not. So there's a border dispute in their country, and that's the rule that kept them out of NATO. So if you want to tell me Russia just got rabid and decided to steal a country that's been sovereign for 10,000 years, I'm going to call bullshit. Too much nuance. Me want a wave flag. Me want a social media virtue signal. Too much nuance. Too much history. Too much perspective. No have perspective. Vote for Biden. Slava Ukraini. Ghost of Kiev. No perspective. Either you do that or you fascist. Vote for Biden. Beat Orange Man. That's the platform. Beat Orange Man. No. Sorry. I've read a book. Or 2 or 10 on the subject. Yeah? Same reason Georgia didn't join NATO. Russia is occupying their country since 2008. Right, there's a border dispute. There's a dispute over territory. You cannot join NATO when you're currently in a border dispute, right? So to solve the border dispute, Biden could have just put American troops on the border and said, you put one toe in fucking East Ukraine and NATO's going to war with you. And Russia never would have put a toe in East Ukraine, right? We could have solved the border dispute then and there and brought them into NATO, ensuring that Russia's not going to invade. This idea that like Oh, if we just let Russia take the Donbass, then their next stop is a NATO country. No, it isn't, dumb fuck. What are you looking for? Dinor.
You come in with me, D?
Where you at?
Yeah, he's in here.
Oh, fucking turd. What a burglar. What a sneaky little padfoot.
When did you follow me in?
He followed. He snuck. He snuck in. Because he's very sneaky and soft. And his paws are very sneaky. You didn't know. Everybody says his little brother, Cricket, is sneaky one. But he can be sneaky too. He got big soft paws. They don't make a whole lot of noise on the, they don't click clack too loud. He got a beautiful mustache that he could change and twirl up and he'd be in a disguise. He got a tiny little head so he could squeeze his head in a small space. A tiny little dome. See? See? He looks so happy. He is. I think he really is. To the extent a dog can experience what we would call happiness. Yeah, I think he's happy. Sorry, baby. Here. I don't need this. No, this can go down there.
It's not windy.
It's not windy at all today. I wish it was. I wish we had a little stiff breeze. But the bees are here. Did you see them?
Yeah.
Before the fart of humanity started, I could hear the hum.
Yeah.
What type of dog is he? He's a mutt. He's a Shih Tzu, Chihuahua, Cocker Spaniel hound. He's pretty much middle-aged, just like that. And in a couple more years, he'll be certified old man. But he's still got a couple more years till then. Right now, me and him are right on the same page. We like to nap the same. We're the same level of grumpy. You know. We like belly rubs, chest rubs, and head pats and head scritches, and back scritches and booty pats. Like, he and I are basically twin souls. Paul, I gotta tell you, man, on two fronts, you were incorrect. The reason Russia invaded was that it didn't want Ukraine to be in NATO. It doesn't want, well, I mean, like, if they succeed and the border dispute is solved and Russia wins, then they know that the move of the West is gonna be bring what's left of Ukraine into NATO, so that doesn't make sense, bro. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they solve the border dispute and allow Ukraine to go into NATO? Because even if they get a strip of the Donbass or a strip of Crimea or the rest of Crimea or whatever it is that they want, right? Say they get everything they want. There's still a huge country called Ukraine. Now is no longer involved in an active border dispute, so it's not in violation of NATO rules, comes into NATO. But nobody wants that because it would preserve life at the cost of a strip of pretty much fucking useless, worthless land. Only strategically important because Russia wants more access to the Black Sea. That's it.
And they were promised originally that Ukraine would never enter NATO.
Right. He doesn't want them to be under the nuclear umbrella. Then why would he want to settle a border dispute and allow them to fucking be ready to go into NATO then? You're telling me he's taking an action. So are you telling me that he does not want to take the Donbass? That's not why he invaded? Are you saying that's not the strategic goal of the Russian army, is to secure their positions in the Donbass, which they've been doing, by the way? Ukraine, with all our weapons and all our billions, has not been able to fucking break the Russian lines and its trench warfare in East Europe. Again. So where are we at, dude? 2 years and running. 500,000 people in the dirt, and that's just trusting the numbers of these two countries. It's probably way closer to 1.5 million in the dirt, never going home to their families again. Especially when you consider secondary causes. I wasn't blown up by a bomb, but I died of tuberculosis. I wasn't blown up by a bomb, but I died of an infection I got from cleaning a wound with dirty water. I wasn't blown up by a bomb, but I drank contaminated water because the water was fucking blown up and I got a fucking, I puked myself to death, right? You take all those people into account, it's over 1 million people in the dirt. 2 years, no end in sight. People said, like the last time we talked to Dylan Burns, he said Russia's back was about broken. That was like, what, 9 months ago? Russia's back is no closer to broken now than it was then. Ukraine's is closer to breaking because they're running out of people to send to die in the trench. Like, I don't know. Like, how much more of this? Are you willing to sit in the comfort of your air conditioning and sacrifice every Ukrainian life, willing or not, to protect that flag? Not even to protect that flag, to protect a strip of land?
Well, listen to this. Like, there's men are in hiding in fucking Ukraine because they don't want to be conscripted.
I talked about it. There are videos of conscription agents chasing people down in the streets. They have closed their borders and not let refugees escape. They'll turn you around if you try and flee a devastated region. They'll say, no, no, no. And if you're young enough, they won't let you leave. They'll grab you and put you in a fucking uniform and give you a gun. So this is not the behavior of a society that is waving their fucking national flag anymore.
Every man aged 25 to 60.
Mm-hmm. And if you're seen walking the streets of Kiev by a conscription agent, they're going to walk up to you and say, sir, can I see your draft card? And if you don't present that you have a deferment for health or whatever, you're thrown in the back of a car and the next day you're in a trench. That's not the sign of a people that want to fight for their flag anymore. So 2 years on, no end in sight. What's the prescription, guy? I'm listening, Blue Noble. Dylan was like completely up to his ass wrong. He'll never admit it though. That's my contention, is that there's a lot of dishonesty and cope when people wave nationalistic flags. That's why I don't do it. Right? There's no way he can be wrong and right at the same time. So he's never going to admit that his prescriptions about this war were completely wrong. He's never going to admit, like if I had Dylan Burns in here, what do you think the chances he would admit to what Amelia just said? They're chasing 60-year-old men through the streets, forcing them into the ditch, closed all of their borders. They're not letting anybody leave and flee the devastation and horror. If you're caught at the border, you're not just turned around, you're conscripted and sent to the front lines. He would not, he would say, that's bullshit. People still want to fight. Like it'd be cope. How do I change the reality of the situation to make it fit the false reality that I want to be real? And I can't deal with that, bro. I'm too old. I've been around too long. I've read too many books. I've lived too much life. I've seen too many of these border disputes. Seen too much war. I've read about way too much war. Dylan has talked about this. What has he said? What has he said? I was wrong. Guys on Deep Fat Fried were right when they said that this was going to drag on for years with no end in sight. Has he said that? Because that's what he should have said. I was wrong when I said Russia's back was about to break and the Ukrainians were about on the cusp of a breakthrough. Has he said that? Because that's what he should be saying. Russia sucks. The people of Russia are human beings. They don't want to fight this war any more than the fuck.
Yeah, they're getting chased down too.
They're getting chased down on the fucking streets of Moscow and sent to the death machine. They don't want it either, fucker. So quit conflating the people that live on a patch of land and were born there with no choice of their own with a flag that's being waved. That's not leftism. That's nationalism. That's colonialism. All right? Colonialism waves a flag and says it owns a piece of land and that land is more important than the lives of the people on it. That's what nationalists say. Okay? Leftists say no proletariat dying for the rich man's war, no conscript armies ever. If a country wants to defend itself, it's got its right, but if its people are running, no conscripting them and sending them into a ditch to die for a flag.
Especially people that are like as old as they're chasing.
60-year-old men being chased through the streets of Kiev, conscripted to the front lines. And you want to defend that as a people that are still wanting to fight? fuck you, and don't call yourself a leftist to my face. You're not a leftist if you think the fucking bourgeoisie gets to summon up any pleb they want and send them to a ditch to die over a name on a map. Because that's what it comes down to. Not one life is worth that to me, let alone the 500,000 that they're admitting are in the dirt, and the other 500,000 to 1,000,000 more that are in the dirt actually, that we'll find out when the dust settles and the international community comes in and counts the bodies and finds the graves.
But wait, there's good news that they reopened the Oreo factory. They're winning.
Wow. Wow. So soldiers on the front line can have Oreos when they're bleeding out.
They've rebuilt their Oreo factory, so they're doing good.
Yeah, have you noticed all the Ukrainian soldiers are either old as hell or very young? I swear it's all I see. But maybe that's all that's posted. No, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what the conscription age is. It's like if you're old enough to hold, if you're old and fit enough to hold a gun and pull a trigger, you're going in the ditch.
Yeah, they're probably recruiting younger than 18, honestly. They're probably not even...
Oh, I guarantee they are. These numbers are, you're trusting a government that's at war, and part of war is propaganda war, information war. Who looks like they're winning, even if they aren't. So, of course, they're not telling you exactly what's happening. They're probably conscripting over 62. They're probably getting old men and taking them over there.
Just look at anyone that looks kind of able-bodied.
Yep. If you're able-bodied enough to be walking around in the sunlight in Kiev, you better have a fucking medical deferment, or you better be part of the military already as a doctor or something, because if you ain't, pick up a gun, Johnny. You're going to war. Fuck that. Never. Yeah, Dylan has said the conscriptions are a lesser evil. Notice how lesser evilism is always a hiding place for justifying fascism, justifying the bourgeoisie sending the proletariat to die for their rich man's war. You ever notice that the only time that fucking political idea is invoked is when it's time to make excuses? That ever make you think? It's a lesser evil that people are being rounded up and thrown into the pit 2 years on with no end in sight. Fuck you. Throw yourself in the pit then, bitch. You're over there documenting it. Pick up a gun if you believe so much. Stand a post. Wave that flag while you're bleeding out and crying for your mother. Otherwise, stop giving me propaganda, because I've heard it all, bro. Whoa. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Imagine being told to go die in a war you don't care about at any age. I know. Imagine being a poor person and a rich man decides he wants to go to war, and your ass is abducted out of your family and your life and your plans and thrown in a ditch, and you're dead in a week from a gunshot wound, screaming for your mother. That's leftism to some people. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No. Somebody banned Josh. He's fucking off on his own little tangent or something. He thinks he's making a joke. Like, I need my mods to wake up today. Maybe I need to put a couple more mods in action. I think that's probably the case, because there's a lot of skibbity just fucking... I mean, I know I've been having a really good talk here and people are mostly on topic, but there's a lot of skibbity that's just floating. So I'm gonna, if I see a couple people that are trusted quantities, I'm gonna add to the fucking thing. Yeah, Skate and Create, I know you. You've been around a long fucking time. You're a mod now, bud. Go forth and multiply. Now you guys got a little more help. You know the rules, Skate and Create. You're here all the time. That's pretty much the product of modern wars. I've said this before. But modern soldiers are employees, not warriors, so they really don't want to be there. Exactly. They have them for a long time. And ultimately, if you talk to one of these Ukraine people, they will eventually, they can't help but invoke World War II. in the mind of people that think military action by the bourgeoisie using the proletariat against itself is justified, and trying to make the argument that it is justified and justifiable as a leftist to support, will invoke World War II almost inexorably. It's like, how long will it be? Let's take bets before World War II becomes the topic. World War II is not this war, guys. It's a different era. It's a different circumstance. It's a different set of fucking problems. It happened the way it happened. It's not every war, clearly. Most wars look nothing like World War II. It was absolutely singular. And the fact that you want to use it forever to justify constant incursion, constant warfare at the expense of people being thrown in a ditch, screaming for their mothers and dying, is fucking ludicrous to me, bro. Fucking ludicrous. That is not leftism. That's I couldn't think of a fucking actual leftist source that would ever say, you know, the proletariat really should let the bourgeoisie throw them into the maw of fire against one another and killing one another in ditches and truncating their lives, because that's a good thing, man, because at least it keeps a flag waving. I've never read any leftist theory about that, guys. I know that like China has a much more like down with individualism, up with the state policy, so maybe you could cite some of that, but I don't think that's the kind of leftism that you want to prescribe all over the world, guys, right? I'm not a Chinese apologist when it comes to applying their government stuff to everybody. I don't want to be a Chinese citizen, do you? Right? So why are we taking that fucking brand of authoritarian leftism and trying to apply it to the national flag of an Eastern European country with a long history of border disputes with a former fucking empire that collapsed, and do it to the point where we're making excuses about lesser evils as the last few able-bodied people are rounded up in Ukraine and thrown into the death pit? Right? And there's no excuse for it other than, I'm just a warmonger. I think people need to kill each other sometimes over land, right? And that's not leftism. That's nationalism. That's colonialism. That's authoritarianism in its rankest and horrible form. It's fascism, right? All of those things. The idea that you, for bankers, politicians, company owners, should be conscripted out of your life and sent to die fighting somebody just like you because they were born on a piece of land you weren't, is fucking absurd. Absurd on the face of it, especially non-voluntarily. Like, all right, if you volunteer, like, hey, I believe in this country enough, I want to go die for it, cool. But if you're like, no, I'd rather fucking have a chance at living, you're thrown in the pit anyway for the flag against your will, and that's leftism. That's fucked, guys. No. And then you're left with, like, I wonder if Dylan will call those people pussies. Because that's the only thing you can say. Oh, they're pussies that should be conscripted, right? Why aren't they fighting for what they benefit from? Fuck them, they're pussies. Get out there and die, right? I wonder if he'd go there. What else can you say? You can't criticize people who decide they don't want to die for a flag as a leftist, but you have to say it's okay to throw them in the pit. So where do you meld those two positions? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't have those types of moral conundrums because I say what I think. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to tell you what I think is right, based on what I've read and experienced and seen happen in the world. That's all I have. I don't have an agenda. I don't have a flag that I'm secretly waving. I'm a nationalistic agenda to spread democracy or any other fucking stupid thing, man. I'm a leftist. I'm for working people rising up and taking control of the means of production and the means of governance. Period. Whatever that means, whatever that entails. I'm not for continued economic slavery, continued United States exploitation of national resources that don't belong to them through war exploitation and debt exploitation. Like I said earlier, nobody wants to talk about the fact that Ukraine will be in America's hip pocket for the next 200 fucking years. It's now it's an outpost of America once this is all over. However it ends. Maybe Russia pulls back. Maybe Ukraine pulls back. However it ends, Ukraine is now owned and operated by the United States. Our president owns millions and millions of dollars illegally, by the way, through shell corporations and his son in stock and interest in corporations in Ukraine. So the Ukrainian people will not get freedom. They will get economic slavery to the United States, just like every other conquered nation, every other occupied nation, every other nation we bring freedom to. They become a little outpost of ours. We seize their oil, we seize their manufacturing. Our corporations move in and take ownership, and then we give it back to the people. We give the government back to the people. Yeah, give me a fucking break, guys. This is not leftism, right? I'm sorry that you've been rope-a-doped into it and you think it is. I'm sorry you never read Dalton Trumbo. I'm sorry that you never read Chomsky, who's on death's door right now, by the way. I'm sorry that you never read Descartes. I'm sorry that you never read any of the fucking foundational documents and pamphlets that were handed out prior to the United States. I'm sorry that you haven't heard the historical first-hand accounts of war. I'm sorry that you haven't availed yourself of that, but it doesn't make you correct. Voltaire. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry you haven't read Howard Zinn. I'm sorry for that, man. I wish you would. I wish you would with an open mind, because you'd probably leave it with a different perspective on war and national borders. I wish you would go read Dalton Trumbo. Pick up Johnny Got His Gun. Read that book and tell me you feel the same about war. Tell me you feel the same about a Ukrainian boy pulled off the streets of Kiev who just wanted to live, thrown in a ditch, and dead at fucking 16. Tell me you feel that's good after reading Dalton Trumbo's Johnny Got His Gun. Read Bertrand Russell. Read War and Peace. Okay? Know yourself and know the people around you to the best extent you can, man. Stop thinking about flags and nation states and politics and start thinking about life and love and brotherhood. Victims of violence understand. I am a victim of violence. I get it. Don't be that person that just because you've never had a gun in your mouth or never watched a family member sent off to war to die, that's on the wrong side of history because you don't have the personal experience to empathize with a young man, 16-year-old in Ukraine, that was conscripted off the streets of Kiev, clawing at his clothes, looking for a bullet wound that he'll never find because his guts are hanging out of his back. Screaming for his mother, screaming for his father and for his God to help him and save him and someone to please help him, and his life's blood pouring out onto the ground. And he dies screaming for his mother. That's the truth of war. And if you want to tell me that's a lesser evil, I don't think you know what evil is. You shouldn't use that word. That word doesn't mean what you think it means. Where did you read this story? I haven't seen it yet. Read Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo. Read any fucking historical documentation of wars in the past. You're going to have a hard time finding it now because propaganda rules in war. You get to hear what Ukraine and Russia want you to hear. Please, comrade, tell people how you feel about the war. Slava Ukraine, the Ukraine will win. We are pushing the Russian orcs back. And then over in Russia, in the same language, by the way, tell me how you feel about the war in what is now Russia, but used to be Ukraine. I'm happy to be fighting. I'm happy to be bleeding. I will bleed for Mother Russia, blood and soil. Every Ukrainian orc must be exterminated, right? You think that's how the people feel when they're dying? Think that's how the people on the front line feel? You think that's war propaganda? So you can't listen to what these countries are saying their people feel like, but you can look at the people running from conscription agents in the streets of their cities. You can look at them raising the conscription age to an absurd 60, right? Dylan has argued that by fighting Russia, it will give them leverage for negotiations. Dylan argued to us that there is no negotiation. So I don't know why Dylan's arguing for negotiations now. Maybe his tune is changing, but he's trying to remain right while it happens. How sad is it that this conflict was justified as the U.S. defending democracy when Zelensky canceled elections and his 5-year term is up, but he's refusing to leave office? Yeah, I know. We're not saving democracy. We're saving Joe Biden and America's broad interest in that region. It's a breadbasket. It's a fucking bonanza of untapped natural resource. And it's a geopolitical position against Russia. We want it. We've got it. We own it now. The Lend-Lease program has ensured that Ukraine could never dig itself out of debt. All of its industry is our industry now. Its military is our military now. You see? See how it works? And Dylan would say this is giving leverage and freedom to the people of Ukraine when all it's doing is giving blood to them. Death, sadness and sorrow and destitution and fascism and authoritarianism as they're rounded up and thrown into a conflict that they don't have the heart to fight. Okay? And if you want to argue with me, you're going to have to argue with that. And if you're a sophist, and if you try and be a spin doctor with me, right? I don't have time for you anymore. I'm too old. Too few years left on my life to waste my time arguing with somebody who's not serious, not listening, and not willing to answer simple fucking questions. That's that. Given that Russia was going to invade no matter what, would you rather have had Ukraine surrendered and not? Yes, absolutely. I think that's one of like several things that could have happened, right? One of several, right? That would have been better because there'd be way more people alive now, still living, eating, breathing, and loving their family, right? Okay. So I think that we could have come to an agreement where we give Russia a piece of this contested borderland that they say is theirs, preserve life that way. I think that there was a way for us to, because we own NATO, I mean, we're the primary NATO nation, we get veto power over NATO. I think we could have just said, all right, well, we're making an exception to rule number 47B. We're going to allow Ukraine entry into NATO, even though there is a claimed border dispute. We're not going to listen to that, and we're going to build a NATO base in Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea to make sure that Russia knows that the red line is drawn. That could have saved 1 million lives, okay? I don't know, like we didn't have Peepaw Poopy Pants for a president. We had somebody that was actually persuasive to sit down across from Putin and come to some sort of agreement, right? Those 3 things could have happened and there'd still be 1.5 million people alive. None of those 3 things was ever seriously pursued. And people want to tell me that the only way was the way that we're doing it. Now it's 2 years and change. No end in sight other than Ukraine might just run out of people to die. They're already hiring mercenaries from anywhere that'll come. Read that news story. Zelensky's like, if you want to come and fight, please, we will pay. So they're getting people from there. Now they're hiring fucking NGOs, private military corporations to come in and fight for them. And those people are dying too. So it's like, the well's fucking getting pretty dry, y'all, and I don't see any change in posture from the Dylan Burnses in the world. So I'm starting to guess that you are willing from the comfort of your chair, I guess in Dylan's case, the comfort of a fucking bunker somewhere in Ukraine, being a journalist, to fight to the last Ukrainian, even the 60-year-old man getting thrown in the back of a fucking unmarked van and thrown in a ditch the next day, right? Got it. Well, you and I are too far apart to come to any kind of consensus, and I just think our fucking ideas are going to bounce off of each other. So thank you for your time.
They probably try to blame it on like, well, the U.S. cut aid.
Oh yeah. Oh, if U.S. wouldn't have dithered on aid, they would have won. Yeah, it'll be cope. It's never the truth. It's always cope and revisionist history and retooling things. I was wrong, but I was right, and here's why I was right, even though I was wrong. I don't have time for sophistry. I have time for ego-based fucking shit when there's blood in the on the ground, and it's working people's blood and young people's blood. Fuck that. I have time for snakes, dithering, sophistry, fucking creative arguments to win when you're losing, creative arguments to save your ego. As soon as I sniff that on you, yeah, I'm done. I'll call you a fucking loser. I'll tell you why you're a loser to your face, and then I'm done. I don't want to even hear your response, bro, because you've already told me you're not even close to me. You don't understand even a bit where I'm coming from. Why would I waste my time? I can't educate you 20 years of education in a 5-minute fucking debate on YouTube. It's not gonna happen. So thank you for your time. Fuck off. You're a weirdo. Read a book. Bye.
But they had to defend that Oreo factory, man.
Propaganda. You know, in a dismal time, Ukrainians have one bright spot to look forward to. The Oreo factory has reopened. It's like, fuck you. Now, man dying, clutching at his belly and crying for mother can have one last taste of chocolatey, creamy, double-stuffed goodness before he goes to meet his maker. Fuck off, ghoul. Oh, overwhelmingly. Go look at those numbers again, because somebody said that to me and then tried to. I said, find me a source of overwhelming support. Can you give me some numbers, baby? The recent support numbers. It's something like 60-40. You think that's overwhelming? I think it's 55-45 or some shit like that. You think that's overwhelming in your world? So what's a minor majority? According to the polls, by the way, being run by Ukraine and the United States and its operatives. So what are the numbers right now, baby, that you can find?
So, of Ukrainians supporting the war.
How many Ukrainians want the war to continue and are willing to fight to the last man? How many want it to stop? Most recent numbers. Let's see what this overwhelming support looks like, guys. See the sophistry?
Nearly half believe the war is at a stalemate.
Nearly half believe it's at a stalemate. Okay, go ahead.
But nearly 3/4 say they were very confident or somewhat confident that Ukraine will eventually liberate all its territories.
Got it. So a quarter of people in the country believe it's done. Half the people believe it's a stalemate and it's going nowhere. That's overwhelming support. As 60-year-old men with canes being chased through the streets by conscription agents.
And the poll excluded Russian-occupied areas.
Oh, so nobody in the areas where this is happening got to be in the poll.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So the people that are under this fucking bombing and fucking lockdown campaign, they weren't polled. So we don't know what they think. See, that's why you don't trust these propaganda numbers. So 3-1, according to the propaganda numbers, if you ignore that 50% of them believe it's at a stalemate, there's other numbers. Like the ones that the guy pulled up for me were 55-45 on continuing or finding a resolution. So take your overwhelming and stuff it up your fucking sophist's ass. If it's overwhelmingly supported, why are they chasing young boys and old men through the streets and throwing them in a ditch? Why are their borders closed if it's overwhelming? There should be nobody running. If anything, there should be running towards the front line, right? If they're overwhelmed, give me a fucking break. As soon as reality fits your prescription, come talk to me. But for now, I'm going to treat you like a child until you don't say one more piece of propaganda or thoughtless, puddle-deep fucking philosophy to me in here, or I'm going to ban you. The next thing out of your mouth better be thoughtful and backed to fact. Or else, you keep wanting to throw on words like overwhelming and then you can't qualify it. So what do you got, spleen face? What's next on your sophist's checklist? Because I really want to ban you, and I think I'm gonna. I think the next thing you say is gonna be dumb as fuck. So come on, buddy. What do you got? Throw some more fucking 60-year-old Ukrainian men in a ditch. Tell me that's fucking freedom. Come on, I'm giving him a chance. But he's typing real slow. He got 40 seconds. He got 30. Got 20 seconds. Got 10. Could you define sophistry for me? Claiming that not wanting, it's like, okay, here's how I would define sophistry to somebody who doesn't know its, etymology through the Greek language, right? A sophist is a person that is not interested in coming to the truth of a matter or honestly arguing. They're a person that is interested in broadening the topic to the point of absurdity. So, for example, here would be sophistry. Overwhelming support by Ukrainian people for the war. And I say, well, Here's a poll that says that 45% of people want a solution now. Well, you know, doesn't that depend on what your definition of solution is? So now we're not talking anymore. Now we're going back to fucking 4th grade when we learned the word solution and redefining it. See, that's sophistry. That's what you're engaging in. You're not arguing in good faith. You're throwing out loaded terms like overwhelming, and then you can't back it. So you're banned. Hide him. You get no chance for a second one with me. You're banned. I hope it was worth it for you to learn the definition of sophistry. Now you're banned. Stop doing it. Yeah, but can you define? That depends on what your definition of is. I mean, come on. That's 10th grade shit. Yeah. Well, before we move on to talk about people dying in a ditch in Ukraine, we've got to define the word define. How do we truly define the word define, let alone define suffering? Vegan gains tactics. Sophists will use this to keep you locked into a 4-hour conversation that's so bad faith and so non-engaged. They'll never answer a yes/no question. They'll never admit that you have a good point and they need to think about something. That'll never come out of their mouth. It's always just a word game. Oh, yes, well, I agree. On the surface level, and a little deeper, and all the way to the bottom, it looks like I'm wrong. But let me explain to you why I'm right. Because you're using the word right wrong. You know, Louisiana lawyer shit. Yeah, sophistry. Get AV out of here because he's agreeing with fucking spleen face. It's probably an alt. So get AV out of here too. He's just up. Yeah, thank you. You want to cheerlead that fucking booty spank? Too dumb to be in here. Next. Got about fucking 15 minutes left before I'm too hot to sit out here anymore. Next. No PFP SMH, I know. They never learn. Oh, the trash is being dumped. OG mods are so quick. I'm not good at this yet. It's all good, dude. You don't have to do it. Like, you were right. You've been around a long time. I trust you. You've never been skibbity or weird with me. You don't have to do it, bro. I want you to enjoy your time here. I didn't give you a job. You don't ever have to do a fucking thing. I always tell people that. I'm just, you know, if you do though, a lot of people that are mods either end up caring or cared from the start about what I try and do to curate a fucking actual conversation here. And if you do, you don't have to be fast, man, because you might be the only one in here one night banning the skibbity, you know? So I appreciate you. Thank you for trying to help. Don't worry about it, man. Trust me, you'll be a killer like fucking Blue Noble and Abby right quick. I'll tell you what, those two motherfuckers right there, when they're both in the room, Blue Noble and Abby, dude, sometimes I'll see them both ban the same motherfucker at the same time. I get 2 notifications. Blue Noble has banned so-and-so. Abby has banned so-and-so. It's like a duel with them. They're like high noon. You're real? Yeah, I try to be. It's a weird fucking thing, but all I ask, dude, is people bring the same energy that they would bring on the street into here, because I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm trying to fuck around and meme, you know? So if you wouldn't walk up to me and go like, "Mommy milkers" in the street, which you wouldn't, by the way. Pro tip, you wouldn't. Wouldn't be advisable for you to do so. It'd be very embarrassing for you. So don't do it here when you're behind a skibbity fucking mask. It's the same shit. Bring the same energy you bring to the world in here, because I want to talk to you. There are some, you're right. But most of the people here are getting that fucking antisocial kick without ever getting within arm's length of you. I don't let it happen here. Bring that energy into the real world and see how it fits. But don't bring the energy, that fucking nice, polite energy that all these motherfuckers bring in the real world. Bring that in here, because I bring it. You can be direct. I'm direct as fuck. I'll tell you what I think. No nonsense, though. I'm not going to be a sophist with you. I'm not going to tell you, well, you need to define the word mean before we can talk about meaning, unless that's the fucking topic. If we're talking about the word meaning, I might say that. You know, sophistry is useful when you're talking broadly about a topic, conceptually speaking. If you're broadening a topic to it's absolutely like you're trying to unpack it and talk about it broadly, sophistry works, but it's often used as a tool for small minds to extend conversations and still feel like they're winning them, because they never have to engage, they never have to answer a question, they never have to answer a point, they never have to think because they have a script in their mind of things they say. You know, it's a waste of your time. Yep. I think Russian occupation would be preferable to active war. Yeah, absolutely. It's not what I would choose for that region. It's not what I think should or needs to happen to stop what's going on. But yeah, I think the people losing their children and their moms and their dads and their grandfathers in this war right now would all agree with me. Like to a person. Yeah. It's like scrolling through TikTok live, random stream to random stream. Yeah, no, it is. Thank you for answering. No problem. I try to answer. I mean, I can't get every fucking thing because sometimes the chat's fucking flying and I'm old. But I really do like try and answer people. If they got a good question, they're asking in good faith. But if I find out after a couple back and forths you're wasting my time, I got zero time for you. I expect that if you want to talk to me about this topic, that you're at least meet me where I am. You read a few books on it, war in general, regional conflict books, like, you know, you've read something. You know a little bit about the philosophy behind war. You know a little bit about basic philosophy in general. I'm assuming you're meeting me there. And when I find out you're not, I can't educate you. Like, I can't give you 15, 20, 30 years of my life that I've spent reading things and learning things and talking to people. So I'm wasting my time talking to you. We're bouncing off of each other. I'm telling you what I believe, and you're trying to make what you believe right. That's a game that nobody wins, even if it feels like you won it. We appreciate you. I was actually surprised at how chill you really are. I mean, yeah, dude, I don't know. People think I live my life running around screaming like a madman, and it's like, I don't, dude. I'm a chill guy. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. I'm a fucking, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm an old school fucking cowtown leftist laborer. Not some fucking social media personality or whatever the fuck. I'm just a dork. Just a nerd that fucking grew up in the 90s and 80s. Kind of channel is this? You're looking at it, bro. I sit out here for as long as I can stand it, which isn't much longer, by the way, because it's fucking, the sun is beating down. But yeah, I sit out here, we talk about whatever, man. All I ask is that people bring that fucking respectful energy that they would bring in public to me here. They don't try and be assholes. They don't try to hide behind a cloak. They say what they believe, and I do the same. That's what we do here. Love the proselytizer bit on the show last night. It was good. Whipped us up some money, too. I told Amelia, I was like, we can't do that every night because people will catch on. But every once in a while, we got to whip out that, oh, yes, the Lord Tomat needs your money. I know there's a neckbeard out there. He's got a $20 bill in his sock drawer right under his vibrating ass dildo. And he's got another $20 socked away in his stained up anime pillow. That neckbeard right now is feeling in his heart the call of Tomat. Give Pessimist Productions that money. And he's doing it right now. The phone lines are lighting up. There he is. There he is again. Oh, fuck, bro. Dude, I gotta stop. It's too hot, bro. Yeah, I'm not too hot yet, but I'm about to be. I'm gonna end it. Thank you guys for chilling.